What episode is this? You're in charge of keeping track.
It's episode
You're the intellectual.
5, I think.
I think it is 5.
I think it is
We
5.
do. And I've been harassing poor Chuck. But he says he has a new idea. That was his...
Oh, good.
He has
Good.
a new idea for us.
Before we start this idea, let's move on to a new one. It's good.
I love ADD.
That's right.
I will be honest, one thing I didn't expect to do with starting a finance business was have to corral artists a lot, which is where I found myself, like, and they don't work the same. Like, I like autistic people that are like, this is what I'm going to do. They do it. You know what I mean? Those are like soldiers, right?
Yeah.
But now I have to deal with these people that are like, you know, the heads out in the clouds, and I'm trying to gently nudge them.
There's always a new opportunity. Something else to think about, right?
I think that's my main tactic with Chuck, is just to be super annoying and just
Right.
like,
Just nudges.
please, Chuck. Like,
Right.
we're trying to get our podcast. Oh, we got this thing, Chuck. Like,
One thing. Keep it all lined up.
yeah, I tried it. Okay, I'm really excited. And one thing is like, I think it's hard for a person that was not in the military to understand how good the leadership is in the military. Or at least it was for me.
Yeah.
And I don't know what he's going to say. We haven't even talked about this.
Right.
But I'm going off hunches or whatever.
Should we do some introductions though first, maybe?
Yeah, well, let's do it.
Before we jump into military leadership training.
Oh dear. I was ready. I'm
You were.
excited.
I know.
I'm excited.
That's good.
This is my friend Jim. And actually, Jim's been helping support a lot of my UFC parties. He's been coming, and he's another Navy guy, so it's easy to con and to come and help at a Navy charity. You know
There
what
you
I mean?
go.
He's an easy mark. I found him. So, but anyways, and Jim actually does the early shift for our parties.
Oh, there you go.
He,
4 p.m. to 7 p.m.
He's there right on time.
The early bird special.
He's there right at the start time.
Yeah.
And about 10 p.m.
Right.
Jim turns into a pumpkin.
Right.
And magically starts disappearing.
There you go.
I'm getting better. I'm drinking more coffee late
That's
in the
right.
day.
Yeah. But and Jim and I actually have a mutual friend, Jackson Campbell.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a great. I love my parties for the interesting dynamic.
Right.
Because you got these 22-year-old kids, and then you got some more experienced individuals, and everyone meshes incredibly nicely.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's a
Like,
great
that's
group.
what I love about it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
these guys all just meshing.
That's great.
Yeah. And so anyways, but Jim, tell us about your business first. Like,
Okay.
what yeah.
Sure. My business, it's a video production company here in Bangor called Deadeye Productions.
Yeah.
Been in business, this is my 3rd year.
Mm-hmm.
So, now clamming up. now.
What do you primarily produce?
That's a great question, because when I started,
Mm-hmm.
I think like a lot of people, it's like, I'll do anything so
Right.
I can for.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Everybody's my customer. Everybody is.
Yeah.
Yay!
But I do what I liked and what I didn't like, and I was doing new things that I'd never done before. Some I liked, some I didn't like. So it was really about finding my lane.
Yeah.
And it's such a, I think it's kind of a challenging environment right now,
Mhm.
because technology, especially AI technology,
Oh,
is really, it's crushing the videography middle class, if you will. You're left with kind of amateurs doing it on the side,
Right.
and the big shops, and everybody in between is really struggling. You know, I'm fortunate this is a second career for me.
Right.
Dale knows my background, so I have the safety net, you know,
Right.
and it gives me a tremendous amount of flexibility to not have to chase jobs that I don't want to do,
Right.
focus on what I do want to do. So my lane is becoming more clear as I move forward.
That's great.
And I'm much more, I really like doing the long form stuff.
Okay.
Higher production quality, multiple cameras. I've got a colleague down in Auburn, a B&I colleague. He actually, well, I'll get back into that later, but he holds the same seat as I do, but in a different chapter. His work is totally different.
Okay.
It's all much more marketing focused. It
Right.
certainly is more timely for the world we live in right now, where everything's on social media. Most of the marketing
Right.
is. So he's really right in the catbird seat for that.
Mm-hmm.
Doing these fast 30-second promos, high energy type stuff. That's not me.
Right.
You know, I like to tell a story.
Yeah.
And I can't do it in 30 seconds.
Sure.
You know what I mean? So that's kind of where I've drifted to. And like I got a project that I just finished for this nonprofit legal aid
Mm-hmm.
group. And I get to tell the story.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like they have gets started off with this retired Maine Supreme Court justice, does the introduction and intros the three clients' experiences. They tell their story about how the legal challenge they had, they're poor, they needed help, and these legal aid groups came in and helped them out.
Right.
So just telling their stories, putting that together, and that's going to be shown in the legislature. Right, they've changed the date a few times, but right now it's going to be the 29th, May 29th.
Wow.
Probably after anybody ever sees this. But,
Please, Chuck. Please.
I hope it's okay to break the fourth wall on this.
No, that's really fascinating, and you know that hard work of trying to figure out what it is that you do and don't want to do, and kind of what your secret sauce is, like where are you really good versus where are other people really good, does make a big difference, and that's a really powerful learning as you get exposure to the market and have the opportunity to try some of this stuff and say, you know, I mean, I could do this, but I really don't want to.
Yeah, exactly. You know, if I was in the same position like 20 or 30 years ago, I would be heading to the movie industry or something like that, because that's that, you know, at my age is like, you know,
now you just got to do YouTube, whatever
Yeah.
not the shorts, whatever they call those,
reels.
longs.
Oh yeah, long form. Yeah. But I would, if I were like 20 years old, right out of college, right out of film school, I wouldn't want to try to do what I'm doing right now, just because. Maybe if I was single and I was living in my parents' basement, it would work. But I could sustain the lifestyle I have. You know what I mean? It would be I would be going after those jobs I don't like doing, and you know. So you know, I don't know.
The interesting thing is we always talk about entrepreneurship, and I don't want to get to the military thing.
No.
But we always talk about entrepreneurship as like kind of a young person's game, right? We get this vision of Bill Gates dropping out of school, or Mark Zuckerberg dropping out of school, and it's these college kids doing these things. And I mean, certainly that happens sometimes, but the majority of entrepreneurship is happening in people's in their 40s and 50s and even into their 60s, because you have all of this life experience and you've accumulated skills and relationships and frankly financial resources that enable you to do things that is some young 20-year-old kid with a lot of energy, but really that's the only thing. It means in some areas maybe that works, but in so many areas it just doesn't allow you to be as effective or pursue the same types of opportunities to see those challenges that you see by having had experiences accumulate over a lifetime.
Yeah, that's interesting to say, because my previous life really gave me so many advantages to do this. Obviously, video stuff was totally new,
right?
But business stuff,
yeah.
and just people skills.
Yeah.
And before this started, we were talking about the Gen Z,
Yeah,
and I like Gen Z. Like, I think they get so many things right, like you were talking about, but they're not perfect either. No generation is. And what I see is Jackson is a rare example, a rare exception to the ambition. He's got the ambition, and I don't see that with a lot of young people. Like I use a lot of young people as freelancers on and I know the cream of the crop over at Nescom, and when I need somebody, I know who to call, and the ones I hire are good, but generally they're not as driven, and they don't seem to have. I think it's the growing up on the internet, they don't have the good people skills of just sitting and talking to a client and trying to see what do you want? You know what I mean? And I think that's a big advantage that I have over my younger peers. But
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, learning how to listen and connect with people is hard work. And if most of your networks and relationships exist intermediated by technology, right? Whether it's a phone or an app or whatever, then it just changes the way that you build those muscles a little bit, which is really interesting.
You know what? I have a secret, and I hate sharing it with you guys, but I'm just friends with a lot of wrestlers and
Are they ambitious?
grapplers. Every one of them to a fault.
Wow,
Those boys are the charge of the hill.
Well, that's what I see that with not just Jackson, but I'm meeting more of his colleagues, and the drive that they have putting in all the time at the gym.
They will quit very quickly if they are not driven.
Right.
They will be driven out of the flock.
Right.
Yeah.
You have to be a hard worker, and that's all you have to have.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, there's this one lady that I love, right? Her name is Martha Hernandez.
Mm-hmm.
And in the beginning, not many women were at MMA gyms.
Mm-hmm.
And our gym in Vegas called Cobra Kai had an atmosphere of kill or be killed in jiu-jitsu. And every grappling match was a match to the death.
Mm-hmm.
And these guys were so good, so good. And they would go to tournaments, really high level tournaments, and do very, very well. But the important part is this girl, her family, fresh from Mexico, came, barely spoke English.
Right.
Was the only girl in the room for like 2 years. And she just took beatings. Okay? But she never quit.
Right.
So everybody loved Martha.
Right.
But every day she just went in there and just got smashed. And just took it. And you know what I mean? But even then, just by not quitting, having the drive to not quit, even though she didn't win a match for probably 2 years,
right?
We all loved her.
Right.
Got to respect that.
Yeah, you got to respect that. Yeah. I think it's the same in business too. That'll get you a long ways.
It will.
Those same categories. I find like it's funny because in this book I'm reading about Face, he talks about the general fitness of. He's got an infantry group, right? Group of guys getting ready to go in Korea, and he's like, the thing I care about most is the general fitness of my boys. He's like, if I get them fit, I get them drilled up, they'll be ready, And it's actually been interesting, and I think you'll like this part. You know how there's this guy, Daniel Kahneman, and he has System 1 and System 2. Are you familiar with this?
No.
It's very interesting. And actually, my favorite stuff is his old research with Amos Tversky. You can look it up. It's very easy to find. Google Scholar or whatever. You can find the PDFs of their old studies. Invaluable stuff about the human psychology, prospect theory, all kinds of neat stuff. But anyways, so their System 1s are like things that are drilled in. They take very little mental energy for you to do. System 2s take a lot of mental energy. You only have a limited amount of System 2s. But what's interesting is when adrenaline hits, when you get into a fight or flight situation, you are limited a lot of times to System 1.
Yep.
And you'll be regulated to your System 1. So like if you're an infantryman, how you've been doing the deal with the practice is what you'll go right back to.
Yeah.
And it's just been making me think a lot about like System 1, System 2, and like the importance of drilling and preparation for everything we do, even in business. Like, how can we prepare? How can we do it so much? It's like second nature to us.
Right.
And it's harder with business though, because it costs a lot of resources.
Yeah.
In the military, we had a lot of resources to drill.
Right.
Versus with our business, every time we drill, right, it's expensive.
Well, it's hard to get reps in business, right? Because you gotta get swings at the ball, whatever metaphor you want to use here.
Yeah.
And those reps, it's something that I talk to my teams about all the time. And I talk to entrepreneurs when I'm working with them. I'm like, look, you need fast cycles of iterations with a lot of swings at the bat, right? Which is why the best salespeople in the world are just doing 50 cold calls a day, 100 cold calls a day,
Babe
depending on
Ruth.
the industry, right? Like you just got to do this thing
Yeah.
because you're definitely going to be bad at it when you start,
Yep.
right? But you're going to refine that capacity, and that's harder the higher up you go in the organization. It's hard to get a lot of swings at the ball as a CEO. You're like, how many strategic pivots can I make before I just look like I don't know what I'm doing, And so some of those things are, but it is trying to really drive that, because that's how you learn. I mean, we think we've got kind of mental models or theories about how we should move forward or how we should think about developing our business, how we should do networking, but we want to really, get as many chances to stress test our theories against reality as possible.
Yep.
I think at a CEO level, a lot of times it comes down to making your organization have an anti-fragile mindset, where when bad things happen, you actually are not only survive, but you can thrive.
Mm-hmm.
And as a CEO, a lot of times it's having enough resources, even safe resources, for bad times.
Yeah.
And I think it actually even helps your thinking. And I always think about Warren Buffett, right? He's sitting on what, like 4% of the nation's treasuries, like Warren owns, right? Like him in Berkshire or whatever.
Right.
So you know what I mean? He's like, yeah, he's the calmest guy in the storm, right? Well,
Right.
Of course, he's the calmest guy sitting on a pile of treasuries. He's got a fortress, like
Right.
he's got a fortress of treasuries protecting him.
Right.
He can be calm and keep his wits about him. You know what I mean? He doesn't. The electricity's not getting shut off at his house. I mean, if his is getting shut off,
Right.
I'm heading for the bunker.
That's an interesting thing. We've been talking a lot about anti-fragility and resilience. So we were talking, about this idea of Gen Z and like, how do you think about them? And I don't know that they're any more or less resilient than we were when we were younger. But I do think that when I try and talk to young people about what it is to develop, I encourage them to really think about this antifragility, which people hate as a term because it's super nuanced to try and explain, well, what does it mean to be anti-fragile? And,
Gen X.
and what's the difference between that and resilient, right? But
It was hammered.
but the resilient, when I've tried to explain it to my team, I'm like, look, resilient is you get punched in the face and you get back up, right? That's resilience, right? Anti-fragile is somebody swings at you, you don't get knocked down, right? Like you find, right? And that distinction is really important because I need you to be able to get back up if you get knocked down. But our goal is not to get knocked down as many times, right? Because that's how we position ourselves for success. And so really starting to get people thinking about how do you create, you were just talking earlier about jujitsu, which I know really nothing about, but I do know that it's about taking your opponent's energy, right, and trying to turn it against them, right? So how do you take that strike and instead of, okay, you can knock it right, I mean, how do you go about converting that energy into something else? And when we're starting to get people thinking in that mindset, that's when we're starting to all of a sudden really drive at a lot of the behaviors. We want you to, not just take that beating and get back up, but we want you to think about how do I redirect this? How do I adjust it?
Well, is it okay to mention my previous employer?
Of course.
Or maybe,
I don't care what you mention.
Oh, okay.
I mean, if it's not a national security
Yeah,
secret.
I mean, sometimes, I don't work for them now, so fuck them.
No.
That's the other thing. I should have checked about profanity because, I'm an old sailor.
We're all,
and
good with profanity.
when I get in these, like, interpersonal, it just, I can modulate it really well, but it just automatically just sort of shifts into my natural
Guilty.
mode. So, no, with my previous employer, most of my previous career in the energy industry was mostly with General Electric. And largely, I love GE, not perfect at all, but in the grand scheme of things, it was a great career.
Until 1991. But anyways, continue on.
Yeah. So, but that was one of the mantras, at least later on in my career, was sort of go fast. Don't worry. If you make a mistake, just correct and keep going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I love that, and I use that today like when I was just talking earlier about finding my lane.
Yeah.
You know, I've had several false starts of trying to do a certain type of work that just people weren't interested in.
Right.
And it was like, okay.
Right.
And I don't care
Right.
that it failed.
Right.
Because okay, I learned from it. Okay,
Exactly.
just keep moving.
Yeah.
You know, go to the next thing. And I think that's probably a common mistake.
Yeah.
Where people just hold on to this thing and try to force it to work.
Yeah.
You know?
Are we talking about life or business?
Right.
You can apply that almost anywhere. A stock, a company, a partner. So.
But I do think, you know, it's that learning from failure. It's, you know, people are so afraid of failing.
Yep.
And, I mean, you know, that's how we learn.
Yes.
We don't learn from successes.
Yeah.
But-
and I'm very introspective. Like you were talking about earlier, you know, wins or losses, I'm analyzing those.
Yeah.
What did I do right? What did I do wrong? Always lessons learned. That was, you know, that's just in my DNA.
Oh yeah, there's a. Forgive me for always going back to jiu-jitsu. There's a guy. His name's John Danaher, and I've learned so much about him. And I take his approach for jiu-jitsu and I apply 100% to business.
Mm-hmm.
And it's exactly, he calls it Kaizen, and it's a Japanese principle of constant improvement.
Yeah.
And I love that. Like I just know every day I wake up, I just try and get as much better as I can.
Yep.
Like I try and improve my thing, and that's just the process.
Right.
Like I know this is gonna be the rest of my life.
Right.
Like at some point I'm gonna be like 95, and I'm gonna be good at nothing but gardening maybe or something. They're gonna send me out to the slave trade, you know, until they're no good, and they're gonna put me on the ship and light me a fire and send me out.
A Viking funeral.
I would love it. Send me to the ocean and yeah. I have one thought though.
Sure.
So back to the boxing
Yeah.
thing. If you look at one thing across the board for UFC champions, and I think the same is true of boxing, the one thing the champions have in common is a very high defensive rate. So when thinking about your analogy, you have to be good at defense, you have to be willing to drill a lot of boring stuff in the gym, right? But then what happens is when you're in there and this bad stuff's happening, the scariest boxers are the ones that can keep their wits about them.
Right.
So you're trying to unload on them.
Right.
And what happens is they can find your vulnerabilities.
Right.
Because their defense is good.
Right.
They can find your vulnerabilities, and that's when they hit you.
Right.
So when you're coming forward, when I'm lunging maybe, or there's other opportunities, and you hit me at those times.
Right.
So by having that good defense.
Right.
But you have to earn the defense.
Right.
You know, I think that's true in business too, right? You have to earn the defense. But then once you have the defense, now you can see vulnerabilities. You can see the playing field a lot clearer.
Right.
And I think that's true of like Warren. Like, you know, he even said, if I have to come back, I will. Like he said recently, he's talking about retiring.
Right.
But he said, if I have to come back, I will.
Sure.
He said, I'm not as sharp. He goes, I don't do nearly as much work as Greg Abel, right?
Yeah.
But he said, I'm a killer in the storm.
Right.
He said when things get crazy, he's like, I'll be still a good thinker.
Yeah.
And I still feel like a lot of that's that defensive principle, the antifragility principle.
Right.
You make yourself secure.
Right.
And that allows you to see the playing field, to take chances, to reiterate, to build.
Right.
Yeah. Where did you grow up? Let's start at the beginning and let's get into it.
The very beginning. Born right here in Bangor, St. Joe's.
There you go.
But mostly grew up like K through 12.
Yeah.
We were living down in Woodland. My father was a pipe fitter in the mill. Lived in town, so that was really where I grew up. But we were here because all of our relatives are in the Bangor area, so we were here every weekend. So it kind of feels like this is my hometown, even though I grew up down there.
I mean, Woodland's not too far, right?
I have no idea.
You don't even know where Woodland is?
It's an hour and a half. Back then it'd be 2 hours. Now the road's so good, it's an hour and a half east, right down near Calais, right on the Canadian border.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, so back then, we could just go back and forth with the border.
What was the population like?
Back then it was much bigger than it is now.
Yep.
It was still small, but geez, I think growing up, Woodland was about 1,600 people or something.
Because of the mill, it was bigger.
Yeah. When I was growing up, The paper mill was huge.
Yeah.
It's much smaller now.
Yep.
There was a wafer board mill. There was a stud mill.
Yeah.
So there was, it didn't seem big then, but I get down there now and look, and it's like
Right.
it's almost like a ghost town now. It's like wow.
It's
So
happening.
yeah. So.
Okay, so like when you were a kid growing up,
Mm-hmm.
what was school? You went to public school?
Yep.
And what was school like for you?
School for me was boring as shit. Okay? I was the kid that like this is funny. I was just a A+ pupil till they started giving homework.
Right.
And then it was like my grades suffered because I just couldn't find the time
Right.
or interest to do the homework.
Right.
And so I went from a straight A+ to a solid B or C student just because of this homework.
Right.
Because I could not do the homework and go take the test and ace
Right.
the test. So it was like, so that was high school for me. So the funny thing is, after that, when I look at all of my college experience, because my whole life I'm always taking classes, and I have almost a 4. I mean, it's rare that I don't, get a 4.0
Yeah.
in a college class now because it's structured so different.
Right.
So.
Well, I think that's a big challenge, especially if you're that smart kid, right? Because in public school, I mean, we're teaching to the whole class, and if you can come in and ace the class without doing the homework, then
And there was no gifted.
then you look at it and you're like, why am I doing the homework? Like, I already know all this stuff. This
Yeah.
is just literally make work. And so
The funny thing is that the society at that point I felt like kind of looked down on me because
Right.
because I wasn't getting the straight A's, even though my test scores are 100, but
Mhm.
everything else is dragging it down. It's
Yep.
like, so I don't make it in the National Honor Society, and I don't get
Yep.
those doors opened up for
Right.
me, and it's like, I don't know.
How much of it do you think was like school not being built for boys?
Geez, looking back at it, it's
Like
kinda,
if they let you run out, you know what I mean? They let you get all that steam off every couple hours.
I just think the whole model back then, which probably parts of it still exist. I don't know. It's just, I don't know. It was just teaching us rote stuff rather than teaching us how to think more critically, things like that. And when I look back at it, it was like there was never any kind of, and it's even worse today. There's no personal finance type stuff.
Right.
And I just saw a report where kids today, if they don't learn that stuff, which most of them aren't,
Right.
versus kids that do,
Oh, yeah.
it equates to $100,000 difference in their earnings in their
Yeah.
lifetime.
Oh,
So
I'd be surprised if it wasn't far more.
yeah. Oh yeah, I think it's really understated.
Yeah.
And
But it's hard to find people to teach it.
yeah, there's a lot of stuff outside of school opportunities, but people gotta step up and do it. So
I mean, you could learn all that stuff if you're self-motivated.
Yes.
Everything in the world. I was in a meeting. I don't know where I was in the last couple of weeks, and somebody was like, "Well, this stuff all exists online." I'm like, everything in the business school exists online. Like, if you want to go, like, if you are that person,
Yep.
you can learn everything about everything
Yep.
from the internet. The internet is smarter than any person
If you
on the
choose
face
the
of
right
the planet
place.
at this
Yeah.
point, right? But you could go learn all the things, but most of us are not so self-driven and self-disciplined that we can take things that are naturally hard for us,
Right.
and we can just persist through them without any other interaction, right? Just us,
Yeah.
like us against learning, like that's a really difficult thing. Now, the things that we have some intuitive, sense of, we can learn those much faster. There's a lot more, positive feedback, but, like physics, like I know I could go watch YouTube videos. I could learn a lot about it. It's not an area where I have like strong intuitions or something like that. That'd be really, really difficult, even though I'm very self-driven, for me to be like, I'm gonna grind this without interacting with any other person. It's gonna be me and the internet. I would find that really difficult.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you because I guess I've never driven into something that in industry.
Right.
I look at it differently, a little bit differently.
Mm-hmm.
and I have a martial arts perspective yet again, maybe, but for me, I learned a ton outside of school about finance. And like my favorite place is actually like the old Berkshire Hathaway meetings. People are like, I'm like, hey, you want to learn a lot of wisdom for free? Go watch these Q&As, and they're like 6 hours a year of Warren and Charlie, like, just Q&A.
Yeah,
and it's killer finance information. It's a lot of Ben Franklin stuff. But my point is like, I think you have such an advantage in anything when you hire somebody who's really good at it to teach you. Sure. And it's always easier to see from the outside than it is from the inside.
Right.
It's always valuable to hire a coach.
Right.
And even like, I have read 100 fitness books read by these Russian professors and all this crazy stuff because I'm crazy, you know, like, and I like fitness a lot. So when I was a kid, I read all these fitness books that I thought were by the best minds in the whole deal. I would seek out the very best books, but even then, and even now, after all these years, all these coaches, having a trainer there helps me. Because they say, oh no, your hip, get your hip here. Get your foot here. It's so much easier for me to see Jim than it is to see myself. Even with a mirror. So it's always like, even with learning or whatever, if I have a coach, a good quality coach, they're going to accelerate my learning. They're going to accelerate my skills, like my abilities. Right? In almost anything, right?
Yeah. Well, that's funny you should say that, because I figured at some point this would come up. AI. You know? I don't know how much you guys are using it, but I mean, I when it first came out, I wasn't that impressed. It's more like parlor tricks, but it's really evolved and it's incredibly helpful. And it's such a productivity saver. I use it all the time. I use it all day, man. I mean, because, like, for instance, with video, somebody calls, they're interested in a job. Okay, talk to them. What's your target? What are your goals? What are you trying to achieve? All of this stuff, and I just create a project, ChatGPT, start project right there, and I just start feeding all this information in. So by the time we get ready to go on the shoot, I can have ChatGPT just spit out this plan where it's got, if there's interview, it's going to have better questions than I can come up with, and it will give me a shot list. This is all the B-roll stuff, which I know this stuff, but it's an instant checklist. So that I, because I would, before I'd do this by hand, and I'd spend hours, and I'd keep tweaking it and refining it as it went along. Now it's like, during the process, I'm just giving it the information, giving it the information. When I'm ready, boom, there it is. And coaching, I mean, I know it can't help you with jiu-jitsu, but I'm a B2B. So, and I've never had any sales training whatsoever. I've been in account management roles, which are very similar, but it's different. Don't have to close. You know what I mean? And so, so I need that experience. And so I looked up what are the top 3 books out there right now, 2025, on B2B sales techniques and stuff. And they get them to, okay, the first one, I forget the exact name, Challenge or something. I don't know if that's in your, I don't know if that's in your world. And so, asked Chat, are you familiar with this book? Because a friend of mine was uploading books to have it help them distill it and process it. And I just said,
summarize it.
Yeah. So I said, are you familiar with this book? Absolutely. Okay. Start teaching. So now if I'm sitting there during the day, I will, and I got a few minutes, Chat, teach me a new principle from this book. Boom, 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 boom. Like, wow. And when I first did it, like, it gave me, it did that, and I'm like, wow. And the funny thing is, because it knows now exactly what I do. Everything from my videography to investments, all this stuff. And so it'll say, you want me to write you a script for a DEP insight video that I do? They're just short videos to educate clients. I'm like, yeah, go ahead. Just see what you can do. Like, blown away. Save that one.
Well, but at the same time, I agree with you. And in a way, to me, like, humans are kind of computers, the way I look at them. And, like, I know that's a Sorry, I don't have emotions. Like but
You're not hearing any rejection or objection from me. I'm just thinking about our audience here, thinking like, God, these guys. Humans are basically computers.
well, you know what I mean? It's like electrical process going on here. Like a lot of the same in a way, right?
Right.
Yeah.
There's a physical deal going on in my head.
No computers jujitsuing each other, like breaking up the
Not yet. I want to
processors.
see it bad though. I would love to have it. Hey, I've watched a ton of battle bots. There's nothing I'd love more than two humanoid robots grappling to submission.
I don't know, man. I think you put some AI in there, and I worry that they're gonna turn and be like, maybe we just go take out all these sloppy
for
sacks
sure.
or whatever.
For sure.
Meat bags.
Now, but the weird part to me is like, okay, so humans aren't as good at AI. Like for instance, AI can translate. You could say like, hey, translate this song into Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, Brazilian. Oh, like,
Right.
dude, AI will be like, bam, 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 like
Right.
certain tasks.
Right.
No
Yeah.
human could do that.
Right.
Yep.
Like how many languages? Probably hundreds.
Right.
Oh, wrong way. Anyways.
You get
It's
that
always
much?
exciting. Always exciting. You never a dull moment. So, but at the same time, as advanced as AI is, right? We have these stacks of computers and all this. If you tell it, like, hey, get rid of this word on that image,
Right.
it's like, oh, I did get rid of it. No, you didn't.
Oh, yeah.
You know, there's little things.
Oh yeah.
There's just little
Yes.
hiccups.
Yep.
It can't seem to.
Yeah.
I don't. That's one thing I found it's not very good at. It's so
Yeah.
frustrating because I've experimented with it.
Yeah.
It can give me a decent generic stock video clip.
Okay.
in 6 seconds.
The pizza
You know what I
thing.
mean? Like a drone shot of a house.
Yeah.
Looks okay, but like static image. This is the process. Have you done
Yeah.
this?
Yeah.
Where you give it the text and it's like, oh, okay, that's pretty close. Do this, change this. Okay, now you're like this one step away. Okay, you're right there. Don't change anything except this one thing. Gotcha. Boom. It's a completely different picture. Like, oh, I don't use it. It's frustrating.
See, this to me actually makes me really appreciate the value of humans.
Yep.
Because a human could take that command easily.
Sure.
Like a human could get rid. Oh, that word. If I told like our buddy Chuck, like, hey, get rid of this word right here, Chuck, he'd have that thing gone in 2 seconds. And like the same thing with you editing this video.
Yep.
I'll bet you it's the same way. Like if I was like, hey, just do this one little thing here.
Right.
You it taken.
Right.
And AI just really struggles with these.
Yeah.
It actually does make me appreciate humans.
Yeah.
Like, humans are we're not we're
No.
capable in different ways, but overall we're a pretty darn efficient machine.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Well, there's a lot happening, right, that we have not yet figured out how to build into AI. There's all that contextual stuff that is just, I'm sure if you could word the prompt exactly right, which would probably take 2 pages of writing,
Right.
it could exactly edit only the thing that you're asking it to edit. But you would literally have to engineer this prompt so specifically when you would talk to any human and be like, picture looks great, get rid of that word. And be like, oh, okay, great. And then you go to say that same thing to an AI and it's like, oh, okay, well, and then it gets rid of the word and all of a sudden you got the Mona Lisa again. And you're like, what am I doing?
the Mona Lisa.
Yeah. And that's my experience because I use it so much. Versus maybe a casual user, I see the flaws every day. It makes mistakes, and I recognize it because it can seem so human-like talking to you. I mean, you can even do I've done the voice thing with my phone, just having a conversation with it, and it can seem so human-like and be correct so much. But man, if you use it all the time, you see the errors, so you always got to check everything.
But it's getting better. I
Oh,
mean,
it's
like you
always
said,
getting better.
whatever it was 2003.
Yeah.
Right, so it's not even 2 years. I mean, obviously, we've been using machine learning for a really long time. We got all the algorithms or whatever. But in terms of the popular imagination, OpenAI's release of ChatGPT, right? We're not even 2 years into this thing, and it is fundamentally like it's exponentially better than it was.
Yeah,
and it gets exponentially better with every release.
Yeah, I think this is one of those seismic shifts, just like the internet. telephones that just advance
Yep.
technology
Yep.
so fast. And you know, I tell anybody that listens, like, you got to get on board with this, especially a business owner, or
Yep.
you're going to get steamrolled.
Yep.
You know, my wife right now, I've been trying to get her to use, she's an analyst. She
Mhm.
spends all day in spreadsheets and databases and
Analyzing what, Jim?
basically pricing analyst
Yeah.
type thing for this company out in California. So she works remotely from home.
Yeah.
And I've been telling her, the thing is, she's a lot of SQL code
Yeah.
and stuff like this.
Yeah.
And I'm telling her this, and she struggles with code.
Mm-hmm.
Her boss is really good and helps her out a lot when she needs code help. And I'm telling her for a while now, I'm like, man, you got to use this.
Yeah.
This will help you. It
Right.
will teach you that code.
Right.
And she was resistant, and I could tell. I'm seeing it now. I start to see that people that aren't using it
Right.
really can't get their mind around
Right.
what it is, and they think that because it's so powerful, it's so difficult to use.
Right.
And I tell people, because you find millions of videos on YouTube telling you prompt engineering
Yep.
and all this stuff.
Yep.
I tell people, the only thing you need is ChatGPT. It's going to coach you. Okay, if you're totally new to it, sit down and tell it, look, this is my job. This is what I do. Tell it about yourself. How can you help me? Here's a list of 16 ways it can
Yeah.
help you.
Yeah.
Wow, I like these ones. Let's dig into this.
Right.
And and then tech support. I love it for tech support. I use it 20 times a day. Something you can relate to. Premiere. You know, I like to think I know Premiere really well. But there's still certain things either I haven't done. Here's a good example. This is the first time this legal aid project, they wanted persistent subtitles. They wanted 2 versions. I said, no problem. No problem. Because I already knew that they'd added that functionality, AI functionality to Premiere, that it was going to be pretty easy. I didn't know how to do it. So instead of diving in and trying to struggle with it, you know, like, chat, I'm in Premiere 2025. I need to add persistent subtitles to this video. And this is the other thing you learn, you know, when you ask for step-by-step thing and it gives you this long list. No. Because invariably some of those steps are going to be wrong.
Right.
So now I've learned, I tell, you know the drill, step by step, one step at a time.
Yes.
And that's how it goes. Step 1, okay, done. Step 2, done. And it just, I'm sure the first time my usual process would have been going to a YouTube video.
Yeah.
But, you know, with those, not for this thing because it's kind of new, but generally, you know, you go to look at a video and it's 4 years old.
Right.
Premiere's changed so much.
Right.
You know, and you run into that with chat too, because if you look at the sources,
Right.
it's checking Reddit,
Yeah.
you know, things
Right.
like this. All these places where people go for help
Right.
with something. And so frequently it will tell you a thing and it's like, that's not how it looks.
Right.
Oh, okay, let me check. Boop. Okay, yeah, that's how it goes.
Right.
You know, so the productivity, I'm finding that I just have more time in my day.
Yeah.
And it's like, for no reason that I can explain, except it's this productivity boost.
Right.
You know, so if somebody isn't getting on board with it, they're going to be left behind.
Yeah.
And back to my wife, her company got bought out in December, and now the new company, they're all in on AI.
Right.
But what's surprising me is that most of her colleagues, coworkers, they're not, and they don't want to learn it.
Yep.
But she's the type. When that finally happened, that was the catalyst for her to finally take my advice and start learning it. And it's so funny because she starts out with all these videos,
Right.
and I'm telling her, you don't need those. I mean, you can go that route if you want, but the best teacher's sitting right in front of you. And so it's funny when I saw the light bulb finally.
Right.
It finally clicked.
Right.
Like, holy shit. Now, she's in just less than a month, she's gone right by me. She's teaching me stuff now about it. And it's like, whoa. And I knew that would happen because she's that type that she's going to throw herself right into it. And, yeah.
Are you using just one service or do you use more than one?
Well, I have mostly I'd say 95% of my AI usage is chat. I use 11 Lab, which is AI speech and text to speech, stuff like that. I'm getting ready to, I just haven't pulled the trigger, is to start using Otter for recording meetings and stuff like that. So I guess that's probably, but I'm open to what I'm waiting for right now. And I think this is where this AI goes from as crazy, as powerful it is now, to just to the moon, is with agents. And they're already out there.
Like bots?
Yeah, where you can use
for
chat.
Your business.
You can connect them using chat, leverage chat to actually go out and do stuff.
Yeah.
Like probably this week, I'm gonna experiment with using an agent that will go out and get me all the last earnings reports for all my long positions.
Yeah.
You know, instead of me going out, downloading them, stuff like that, go get them, give me a summary. What are any red flags, stuff like this. That's the thing about it. It lets me consume and digest enormous amounts of information that would have taken years. I mean, like I hardly watch a YouTube video now. If it's educational or anything like that, I copy the the transcript, dump it in, tell me if this is important or should I pay attention. And because I've trained it,
It's so good at summarizing. That is one of the best things it does, right?
And it knows now that when I ask it that, I want a credibility rating, and I want her to defend it. I say her because I gave her name and a female voice. It's easier to say it, Chat GPT. So give it this talking head, financial talking head, some new report about this company or something. Boom, tell me about this. And she'll come back and say, 8.5 out of 10, and this is why. Does he use real facts? This guy, if it's a known person, highly respected, he's using real facts. The only knocks, he uses a little bit of inflammatory that makes it seem like it's a bigger problem than it really is. Stuff like that. It would take me, I could
we get for a score?
I could consume 30 hours of videos. And
3 out of 10.
3 out of 10, yeah.
My credibility, 10 out of 10. Authenticity, anyways.
Yeah, authenticity.
So that's the next generation. When the funny thing is, I don't really have too many things where agents could go out and do them for me. When I think about it, I'm trying to come up with some reasons just because I want to learn them and start to be able to use them, but it could be really powerful.
Yeah, I think it's going to really up the usefulness of websites, at least on my business. I do a terrible job of communicating, my website, what we actually do, and very ineffective website. Don't do it like that one. Great artwork, very ineffective. Anyways, but having a bot there that could actually, I haven't pulled the trigger yet either because I worry about mistakes. Giving it bad information or making it promises regarding returns or something inappropriate like that. So, that's a really big risk for my particular business. But as far as the potentiality of it, it could really make it a lot better for my clients of being like, what are you looking for? What's your problem?
Right.
Oh, and ideally maybe it even says, we're not the right people.
Yep.
Hey, we can't help you with that problem.
Right.
And send them on their way.
Right.
But, we can do this.
Right. Well, you could do that and then have an internal, bot that for your clients or an agent that you got somebody and the market's down and, they're wanting to have a quick conversation, right? And they can have that quick conversation and that can get summarized for you that when you then talk to them, you understand I've been hitting the bot a lot for the last week. You seem really concerned about what's going on in the portfolio.
18 times on Monday.
I might need to make a phone call. I might need to be a little proactive here and be like, hey, look, whatever. I mean, those are the types of things where I think, again, you're just trying to facilitate that kind of on-demand thing that we've become so used to having. Is I want to be able to ask a question to an authority when I want to ask the question and not have you presume to communicate with me when you're thinking about it, because I might not be thinking about that thing at all. And that's, I mean, I hear all the time from the entrepreneurs I work with in my own businesses at Maine. You know, people are like, I didn't know that. I said it 4 times. But you weren't listening because you were thinking about something else entirely. It's not because I wasn't communicating, but communication requires, right, that there's signal and then receipt of that signal, right? and that's really hard, right? And so that's where I think those agents can be so powerful, because then you can say, I've said all of these things, all of this stuff's been communicated. So now put it into the knowledge base and let it just be queryable.
Yep.
What percentage do you think your wife listens to you? What's the receipt percentage on your wife? Just out of curiosity.
Probably 95%. I don't talk a lot at home.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know what my receipt percentage is. But
I know. My wife thinks that I don't listen to her.
Yeah.
I try and stay real quiet.
That's smart.
We take a quick break?
Yeah, let's do it. Break? Good. I was just thinking that. Go ahead. Welcome back.
Okay. So, Bulletproof Coffee. The first time I heard about this, I think it was, full admission here, I used to be a big Opie and Anthony fan back in the day. If you guys are familiar with that. Oh, okay.
They're like comedy radio, right?
Yeah. They were huge in New York and whatnot. And
I've heard of
this guy was a guest on there, and he's talking about this Bulletproof Coffee and why it's so good. Because he was explaining the coffee, how it was so much better because most coffee has mold spores on it. I don't know if any of this is true. This is what he was saying. And he uses like a big tablespoon of coconut oil in his coffee, and it gets him going. But then, a little further down the road, find out, he's also taking 200 milligrams of Provigil when he takes his Bulletproof Coffee. Provigil it's sort of in the stimulant family, where what it is.
Their coffee's working like a.
It's sort of like, but what it is, it was. I don't know if this was originally why it was developed, but it was used by pilots decades ago when they had to be up for 36 hours, because that's what it does.
I was just thinking of fucking military guys.
Yeah.
Taking speed.
So,
shocker,
man. There's some really great ways to lose weight. You know, what was that? What was the stuff that they took off the market a couple of decades ago because it was?
Oh yeah. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, but I mean, you should get
the truckers loved it.
Exactly, and you're like, if I just smoke enough cigarettes, take enough speed, drink enough coffee, like I'll lose a lot of weight. I'll never eat.
Yeah.
The Fin.
Oh. Yeah, that was killing people.
Yeah, exactly. But hey, people were losing weight.
Well,
now we just need Ozempic.
I used ephedrine, like I can think of at least 4 occasions, and what people would do is
be scared to see you on.
It was scary. Well, imagine this.
It's 4 o'clock in the morning.
I don't mean but so what we would do is at Extreme Couture, like on Thursdays back when I was training there, we would gather for Big Glove Day. And that meant we'd beat the hell out of each other with 16-ounce gloves. And we would always get fresh recruits from out of town, like fresh meat or whatever. And usually we'd be fairly technical with each other.
Right.
But this was a hostile room in general. But we would be, the guys that trained together year in, year out, we were pretty comfortable with each other. But these new guys would come in and we would tune them up. Well, let me tell you, when I would take ephedrine, my propensity for violence would greatly increase.
I feel like everything I've ever heard you describe about yourself is always tuning up the propensity for violence. You're like, if I eat a steak, I am ready to go.
No, well, I
meditation. It's a good thing.
Yeah, I like meditating, and I meditate almost every day. Keeps the machine running. But you'll find almost every warrior meditates.
Yeah.
But the thing is like, there's a value. I do like strength, and I think there's a direct correlation to my personal freedom. All my freedoms and everything I love is directly correlated to strength. All of it.
What do you mean?
If
your personal strength?
No, not just my personal, my community, my nation.
Okay, I see what you're saying now.
Hey, if my police department doesn't carry a gun, like if they're like, hey, just please stop. Please stop.
Right.
Like, these criminals are going to be like, nobody. When? Like, if the criminal's the one carrying the billy clubs,
Got it.
quickly my neighborhood's going to hell.
I hear you.
So, but it's the same for the military defending our borders.
Right.
Like, their strength is what keeps people from invading
Right.
and taking our nice stuff.
Sure.
Like, you're going to have nice stuff if... No, they're coming to get it.
Right.
Like, you have to be able to keep them out.
Right.
This is the way of nature.
Right.
So inherently, if you love freedom and your stuff,
Right.
you like the ability to do violence.
Well,
You cannot separate the two.
I mean,
I might
you
word
know,
that as I want to protect my stuff.
Sure.
But I mean, I think, we talked last time about property rights, which are enforced not so much by strength in the classical sense, right? But so much as a strong court system, which is not,
I disagree.
well, okay.
When the court says this is the way it is,
Sure.
at the end of the day, there has to be a physical enforcement capability.
The courts don't have that ability.
I
which
realize
is part
that.
of the problem.
I realize that, but what I'm saying is when that judge makes an order and he tells those sheriffs, like, hey, go take that house or
Right.
go do this
Right.
thing,
And what if those sheriffs are strong and decide to ignore the courts? Then we got a
then
big problem.
we're big problems.
Yeah.
Whoever carries the gun really's got a lot of the say.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
But that doesn't allow for us to function effectively as a society.
I'm not making a judgment on this. All I'm saying is
Right.
whoever carries the gun has
Sure.
a lot of say. So I have a lot of value for I have a lot of respect for the gun.
Sure.
Like, I mean, ultimately, that's like, there's a big link between property rights and the enforcement of it.
But the enforcement of property rights is rarely done at the barrel of a gun.
I completely
In the
disagree.
macro sense, right? The rule of law is not enforced at the barrel of a gun. If it is, then we're just back to the state of nature, right?
We will be back to the
That's right.
state of nature in about 0.03 seconds. Let the power shut off for about a week and the grocery store shut down and watch watch the force of nature come hauling back.
And there will be no property rights.
Exactly.
So that's the problem.
No, what I'm saying is whether you want to acknowledge it or pretend it's not there, and I don't mean that like you're being naivety. What I mean is just like you don't have to look at it directly in our society.
Sure.
But if you don't have the barrel of that gun,
Right.
things are going to heck quick.
Right.
Because those people that have nothing
Right.
down by the bridge,
Right.
they want to come to my house. My house is stocked.
Right.
I got peanut butter and all.
But all the nice things that we have as society relies on us not moving forward at the barrel of a gun, because you can't do large scale things when the only thing that matters is coercion.
I agree, but I also I agree that that's the beauty of capitalism to me, right? Is like Jim and I can do business together. Like I can hire him to do videography work and he can hire me to be an investment advisor or whatever.
Sure.
We could have this relationship
Right.
for 100 years
Right.
and get along swell the whole time.
Right.
Never no guns needed.
Right.
Never have that.
Right.
But at the end of the day, the system, why he's able to own his house is because the police will protect him. If the court says that house is his,
Sure.
they will enforce that at the barrel of a gun. And everybody knows it.
Okay.
Like if people come into his house against his will and he calls the police, they will remove them
Sure.
by force if necessary.
Right.
And if the day the police aren't willing to do that for Jim,
Yeah.
he doesn't
Jim
know
does
that.
it himself.
But if
You're not building an interstate highway system in that same way.
Right.
you are, it's just a bigger scale.
No, you're not.
You can't have any of that. You couldn't even have that land if you didn't have the gun to back it up.
We're not going to agree on that.
For the interstate.
You guys are going deep now.
But you see what I'm saying? Like, the point is like, I guess you couldn't even take people's land if you didn't have the gun pointing.
I kind of look at it like it's really the same thing. The courts and the gun
Yeah,
are really the same
they're
thing.
same.
It's the law.
Yeah.
And that's what holds us all together.
The enforcement mechanism.
Right.
If you don't have the enforcement mechanism, the court has no teeth.
Because one without the other is just craziness.
Right.
You can't, right?
Guns without judges
Chaos.
is chaos.
Yeah.
It's
Mad Max
might makes right, and then courts without the law, without the guns, are
Yes.
toothless and feckless and can't.
Yes.
So.
All right, so let's go back to high school.
Right.
Oh,
So,
okay.
how did you do in high school? Did your career as a student? You sounded like just like myself, by the way. I was like, oh, that's me right there, drifting out the window, like.
Right.
So, where did high school go for you?
Well, I would say, like I said, I was just pretty much a B student because of that.
Yeah.
You know, the funny thing is, at the time, I thought I was getting a pretty good education, and then I get to Orono as a freshman and realize, you know, electrical engineering program, like, Jesus, I am so unprepared compared to my fellow students that came from
The ones doing the homework?
southern Maine. And well, they were really ahead, because it wasn't just me; it was several of my classmates, and they were really far ahead of us.
Yeah, they were pushing them.
They were far. You know, we weren't
Rural
doing any
schools.
AP
Yeah,
shit. You know what I mean?
exactly.
Like they already had almost the equivalent of freshmen by the time they got there.
Yeah.
So so that was fine. But
He deals with this every day.
yeah. I've always had the attitude that I may not be the smartest guy in the room, but I'm gonna fucking outwork you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
that
Don't get you so far.
Yes, it does.
and it
hard.
works even better today.
Yeah.
Because back when I was young, all my colleagues were generally very similar like that, and now I just don't see that in a lot of, younger people.
Right.
So, like when I took my first class over at NESCOM, when
Yeah.
I went into this,
What year was this?
this was only 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I going into it, and this is kind of getting ahead of my background story, but I'd retired from GE, fucked around, not doing anything. And then just finally didn't know what I was going to
Transitional
do.
period,
Didn't know what I was going to do, but I didn't want to keep doing that.
Sure.
And so I got an opportunity to join this lobbying firm
Yeah.
that specialized in renewable power. Like, oh, okay, that's cool. Jumped on that and immediately, almost very quickly regretted it because it was just too adjacent to what I'd been doing.
Yeah.
And I just felt like I was right back in the same world. I was having to reestablish all these connections that I had, because I generally don't look back.
Right.
When I move on from something,
Right.
I burn the light bulb.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, so I was reestablishing all that, and so my boss wanted to start a podcast, and I said, "Hey, I'll take the lead on that."
Yeah.
And I didn't have a fucking clue what I was
Sure.
doing, but I've always had the confidence
That's
I
how
could
we
figure
roll.
something
Right.
out, and so tried to self-teach on with YouTube videos, and I'm like, this is kind of, like, geez, there's a film school right here in Bangor, right? I looked it up.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm over there, very first class, intro to videography, and all my classmates are 18, 19 years old, and my instructor's same age, so we got along great. And I think he really enjoyed having me in the class,
Right.
And we're like 6 months apart in age. He's become a great friend and mentor. When I got in there, like within like 2 weeks, I'm like, man, I really like this,
Right.
and I think I might want to do this instead. And but I said to myself in my head, I said, we'll see how this goes, because these kids have so many advantages over me.
Yeah.
Several of them had been doing this stuff in
Sure.
high school.
Yeah.
They already knew Premiere Pro,
Right.
stuff like this. So I said to myself,
Right.
if these kids eat my lunch, this is as far as it goes. I'll just learn enough to do the podcast,
Right.
and that'll be the end of it. But it wasn't.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't like to brag, man. but I really excelled at it, and my teacher at the end, my final project was. So, I remember showing it to one of my classmates, and he's looking at it. He's like, I did multi-camera because by then I already bought my own gear, and he's like, you did like a real video. And I'm like, aren't we supposed to?
Isn't this a class about videography?
And then the teacher, when he graded it, he's just like, man, he goes, you were doing senior level work. He goes, we should have put you in a higher class to start. I'm like, I appreciate that sentiment, but I didn't know shit.
Yeah, at the start, I would have been flailing.
If I leaped ahead of the stuff I was learning there, then I would have been struggling.
Right.
So I needed to start at that. I just assimilated it really fast, and I came from a family of artists. My sister, she taught art in high school, and she's a graphic designer, extremely talented. My father, after I graduated from high school, he went back to school down at Butera, down in Boston, and became a commercial artist, started his own business. And my grandmother, his mother was, so I came from a family of artists, but I was kind of the black sheep of the family because I like to draw and create, but I had graph paper, and I'm drawing bridges and buildings and things like that, cool cars, not the painting and the typical traditional artist stuff. So when I come back to it, it's like, and start this, it's like, man, having a creative outlet is like, holy shit, I got all kinds of creativity in me that's just wanting to come out, So that's how I kind of got into this. Wow. So, but yeah, high school was, I don't know, it was more of a social thing for me.
So you went to Orono.
Yeah.
You got an electrical engineering degree?
No, I went to. I went for a year.
There you go.
I went for a year, and here's the thing, and I can say this now. My father passed away last year, so I can tell this story. It was different time.
What year was this?
84. I graduated high school, and growing up down there, traditionally for years, the mill was always supportive of the local kids that went to college. Right. They gave away a big scholarship.
Did they want them to come back and have leadership positions?
I don't know if
I think
they
it was
did.
Investing a lot in the communities. I mean, the margins were just so good when those mills would just go in, right? I mean, that's why you could have people earning real, middle and upper middle class lifestyles working in those roles. I mean, the margins were just so good. Yeah.
And so the really big support, besides that one scholarship that they gave every year, was they used to employ the college students during the summer out planting trees and stuff like this. It was good work. This is 1984, and it was like $12 an hour.
Right.
You could work all summer and pay for your education.
Yeah.
The year we graduated, that ends.
Oh, wow.
So I'm making,
right.
$3.50 an hour at the convenience, because jobs were so hard down there. There just weren't. I always was able to get little jobs that are appropriate for kids because I had a good reputation that I was a hard worker. Right. And but otherwise they were tough. And so I had my own little nest egg of money because I'd started investing when I was like 15, and and so I remember my parents, they were pretty middle class, but they both worked. They could have afforded it. And I was sitting there with my father shortly after I graduated, and he's like, we're just sitting there watching TV, and out of the blue, he's like, so, how are you going, I'm accentuating the thing, but how are you going to pay for college? I hadn't got shit for financial aid. And I'm like, I don't know, but I knew that was his message saying, it's on me.
Right.
It's like, oh, okay. I didn't get any financial aid, and I got this little nest egg of money that get me through a year. So and that's what I did. And the thing was, I still had my second semester, I had to borrow some money to pay for the second semester. And I'm just wired this way. I can look back and see it served me well, but at the time I'm like, I'm not gonna. and these numbers were so small compared to today.
Oh yeah.
It was when I look back at it, it was ridiculous that I was so rigid about that and thinking I'm not going to borrow $5,000 to $10,000 a year for the next 3 years.
Right.
So I'm like, my girlfriend at the time, her uncle was a big wheel at Northeast Utilities down in Connecticut.
Okay.
He was one of the top engineers building Millstone 3 at the time, and
What's
so
Millstone 3
it was a big nuclear plant down in Connecticut, not too far from the sub base, and so it came into my understanding that, geez, you go. Well, and to back up just a little bit, I was considering going in the Navy right out of high school.
Yeah.
I'd actually enrolled in one of those early enlistment things, but then decided before I graduate, I'll go to college. You could back out of that at the time.
I'll have people saluting me.
And so when so I'm hearing, geez, these nukes coming out of the Navy. This is 1985. They're starting at $60,000 at Millstone, and I'm like, geez, that seems like a good deal, Plus there was big at the time $5,000 enlistment bonus, $30,000 re-enlistment bonus for nukes, and so I'm like, geez, this seems to make a lot of sense.
Right.
So that's what I did, and it worked out really well. And I ended up getting my nuclear engineering degree at Thames Valley State while I was in the Navy.
Oh, that's great.
So they never used it. but some employers
Might
were
come in
impressed by
handy
it.
sometime, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You build some
Apocalypse.
some
Yeah.
micronuclear, around town. Power all of Bangor.
So
we want Jim in our trench just in case we need some nuclear power.
That's right.
I do have some MacGyver type skills in me.
I believe you.
So that was kind of
So wait,
how it went.
Sorry, I didn't quite understand. So you're having to borrow money for the second semester.
Yeah.
And you'd already been thinking about the Navy.
Yeah.
So then what happens?
So like I said, I burned through my little nest egg. Had to borrow a little bit to make up to get through that first year.
You didn't want to borrow money.
Next year was going to be all borrowed money.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to do that.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, like I said, when I look back at it, I thought that was a ridiculous amount then, but looking back at it today, my son, geez, he went to Champlain at $60K a year, geez.
But so you get done with the first year, and what do? You move down?
No, I enlisted in the Navy.
Oh, right away.
Just enlist
That's
immediately.
You walk into the recruiters. So wait a second. What were you feeling like? Just tell us that part. Like,
what was I feeling? Jeez, that's a really deep question. I'm thinking, I don't know, I was young and full of energy, and I was not the guy you see here sitting here today.
No, you still got the energy.
And to me, it was really an easy decision. I'll say that. I can say that today. It was an easy decision, really.
Yeah.
Because, financially, it was obviously the best move. Because I have people that I went to school with that they won't earn the money that I made because of that Navy decision.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know. You know what I mean? I just know that. You know what I mean? So the ones that are still alive are still grinding. You know what I mean? I retired 8 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So what I'm doing now is just for fucking fun, man.
Right.
I just enjoy it, So yeah, it was really an easy decision, really. And yeah.
So, but what I mean by that is, okay, so there was a financial aspect.
Yeah.
When you walked into the recruiter's office, did you know what you were going to do for a job?
Yo, that's a good question, because I was really mostly aligned with this nuclear thing just because of the career opportunity it was going to present.
Purely cash.
Just purely cash.
Yep.
And I was so wired like that.
Yep.
And I don't know if that's a generational thing or just me personally, or my family. It was all, growing up, it wasn't about, what do you want to do, Jim?
Right.
What would you like to do?
Right.
It's like, this, you can make a lot of money with
Right.
this, you can make a lot of money with this.
Yeah.
You know, it was never about whether or not you'd like doing it.
Right.
You know,
You want
so
security.
yeah. So then that's big in that's really in my DNA, man. This whole security. Even today, I'm always like, what's my plan? Like, if the economy crashes and I lose everything, you know what I mean? It's like, how do I put food on the table?
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm wired like that, even though I have so much safety now. So, you know.
People say ADD is a bad thing, but
So, but the other thing on the other side, the only other thing that I was considering, and it was just more for the excitement of it, was like the Army warrant officer program flying helicopters. That seemed like that was the fun thing. Now the nuclear thing was strictly about money. I had no interest in that at all. But yeah, so and I never really consider. I mean, I can't remember if I talked to an Army recruiter or not about that. I think I did. My memory is that I did, and again, always being risk averse. Like, I'm a huge Warren Buffett disciple myself.
Yeah.
You know, I'm very cautious. I looked at it as the downside if he didn't get through, because the other thing is this is Jim Hooper before the new program, who didn't always have the confidence that I have now. Okay, I'm young.
you didn't have the skills to.
Yeah. So I was like, geez, if I don't make it through the program, doubting myself, like, you know, I'm just gonna be an Army grunt.
Yeah. Right.
You know.
Yeah.
A pack on my back. I mean, that is not me, man. You know, infantry.
I'll plant trees for $12 an hour, but I'm not just hiking around the forest
Yeah.
in the
What
field.
year was this again?
This is 85.
So again, like Vietnam was kind of fresh, right?
It was
When you think
still.
about the Army.
I still grew up watching it on the TV when I was young, and it wasn't so much that like, oh,
you know what I mean? Like, 'cause
yeah.
I'd be like, I won't be no infantryman in Vietnam.
No, exactly. I think it was more just knowing in my mind that would be such a dull job in
Not
peacetime.
using your mind.
Yeah,
Oh,
you know, so
boring.
yeah. So all due respect for infantry people, you know, if I could pick a fun job today in the military,
Yeah.
because I'm dialed in watching the whole Ukraine-Russia war, would be like, I think it'd be fun to be artillery, like just calculating, you know what I mean, that physics part of me, like I think that would be fun. But anyway, I digress.
Hey,
So
what was that game where you figured out the angle of the? You really like that, didn't you?
So it really was never really in doubt that I was going to end up going in the new program, and so yeah, it was. Yeah, I wasn't excited.
When
but,
did you take your ASVAB? At what point?
well, you know, like everybody, I'd take.
You know what an ASVAB is?
That's like the exam you got to take to go in any military thing.
Is it like like
General aptitude.
Is it a like
Yeah.
intelligence
Yeah.
test kind of?
It's yeah, I guess
But
just
it's
kind
weird
of a broad.
You don't have to do good in school, and you can ace the ASVAB.
Sure. I mean,
96.
I would say grades are not a good indication of intelligence, right? You
The
can have a
military
high
is its
IQ.
own
Yes.
thing,
Yeah.
and they hire a
Yeah.
bunch of smart people to,
Yeah, yeah.
to constantly manipulate this test.
Yeah.
And then once you take it,
Right.
they'll figure out where to put you next.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so what happens, and I know this because they did it with me, I got a perfect score on my ASVAB.
Right.
And they immediately want you to take the smart people come into the room.
Right.
They're offering to. You're at MEPS where the recruiters. I mean, well, it's like the processing station, and they're like they come in there and they're offering you food. They're like, we'll buy you this special lunch. You'll take this test.
Right.
Like, this,
Oh,
they're promising you big checks, and for me, I was like. I just want to blow stuff up with the seals. Like, thank you.
remind me to come back to that because my son like is in that age now, and it's so different. But,
Yeah.
But so I went in.
So you got a near perfect score on the ASVAB.
Yeah, you know, like it's used to be given in high school. Like they'd take a day.
Yeah.
The
Everybody
recruiters come.
would do it.
Everybody took it. So, but I, you know, because a couple of years had passed, so I had to do it again. And I went in down in Connecticut because
Yep.
my girlfriend who became my wife that's where her family was and everything. That's where I was, and So yeah, I had to take the
You met her
ASVAB.
before the Navy.
Yeah,
Yep.
because her parents were from my hometown, and
You
they
guys high school sweetheart.
no, she grew up in Connecticut
Yep,
entirely,
okay.
but they had a big footprint back home, and her grandfather was the local barber and cut my hair growing up and stuff.
And you
Yeah.
took a swipe at his grand.
I know, man.
Guy did it.
He
He's
really
doing
liked
you a
me.
service. No.
He liked me, Lawrence Lund, and but where was it? Oh, so yeah, I had to retake the ASVAB.
Yeah.
Scored like a 96 on it or something,
you had to,
and
yeah.
so then
That's
like
percentile.
Right.
So the ASVAB's 1 to 80
Yeah.
as a score, and then the 96.
Yeah, it's like all of the graduate exam,
Yeah.
anything, right? It's just some
Yeah,
sort
yeah.
of like,
Yeah.
not measured against an objective standard, but like how do you do relative to everybody
Yes.
else?
and like you said, right after that, which I already knew I was going in the nuke program, and or I wasn't going to go. I
Right.
probably would have done something else. So immediately, here's the nuke test.
Right.
I got pretty high on that. Geez, after a year of electrical engineering, it's pretty easy to blow that one out of the water too.
Right, because there's a lot of it's
A
physics.
lot of
Yeah.
physics and math,
Right.
and so that's an 80 question test. I think I got a 65 on it or something.
You must have had natural aptitude for mathematics.
I really did. You know, in school, I really liked almost every subject except English. That was my worst. It was just too gray.
Right.
I'm math and science. Things are
Black and white.
black and white. Yeah, it was just too gray. Back then
I know.
I couldn't get my head
I
around
get
it
it.
at all. And so geez, just a few weeks later, I'm on the bus or not bus, plane to
Two
Chicago.
weeks later, and you're leaving
Oh, it
from
was-
Connecticut.
Yeah, well, it was pretty close. I'm
Yep.
probably exaggerating, but
Yeah.
yeah. So then, went to Great Lakes boot camp.
Yeah, and you knew your job. When you go to electrical school, like there's different. Can you explain? Like there's different jobs within the electrical.
Yeah,
Explain how
exactly.
that's
At that
gonna
time, there were 3 rates:
Yeah.
basically mechanical, electrical, and a reactor.
And
operator.
nuclear.
in the nuke,
Right.
yeah. And the thing is, I totally forgot about this. Before you go in, most of the time, again, based on your ASVAB test, they'll slot you in as either mechanical, electrical. But my electrical background was so advanced after. But the funny thing was, I didn't like it, and that really was another factor.
Right.
And so I told them I want to guarantee that I'm going to be mechanical. I wanted to go mechanical.
Good
And
for you.
and they were willing to do that.
Yeah.
So show up at boot camp, and this is a story you can appreciate. I got put in a triple threat company at boot
Yeah.
camp, and the whole company, it's a special company that does a little bit different boot camp.
Okay.
It's all about, there's 3 parts. They call it triple threat. There's a drill team,
Right.
a band, and a choir. And the thing is,
Oh.
the last 3 weeks of boot camp,
Right.
when you're senior threat, they call it, you're performing at the graduations. They're taking us all over
Yeah.
Illinois and Chicago, performing in parades and
Right.
shit like that. And so,
You had aptitude with music before when you went.
no, I had. Here's the thing. I always get a kick out of this story. Then you know how boot camp is. You showed up at like 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
You know, piss
Process
test.
you.
Yeah, piss test.
Yeah.
And they throw on this video about this triple threat thing because they're forming a new company. You know, and geez, they really sell you. Oh, this is like, wow, sounds fun. You get off base and you know, I'm like, okay, so people can say yes or no. So then a few hours later, you're in these racks and they're waking you up just like traditional trash can, you know.
4 a.m.
And it was all the people that had said, yes, I want to be in this triple threat company. Before we do anything, haircuts, uniform, all that stuff, they take us to the drill team.
Yeah.
The choir goes off here. People want to be in the choir.
Yeah.
The band goes over
Yeah.
here. They audition.
Yeah.
Same with the drill team. I had no musical skills or anything
Yeah.
like that. And so the guy that's going to be our drill instructor for the drill team we got to audition. He's like, when you're going to stand here, and when I blow the whistle, you're going to march. You start on your right. You go this. Every time I blow the whistle, I want you to turn, telling us how to do it. Okay. And this was another thing. Like, we didn't have a drill team in high school, but I found out that that's a thing in bigger schools, you know. Yeah. And so, but also at that time, there's probably like 100 of us there on the bleachers waiting to test or audition for this thing. But one of the things we find out is we're going to be there longer because we still have the usual 9 weeks of boot camp, but 3 weeks.
So like, you had to do 13 weeks.
Yeah, it was like 13 weeks. When I heard that, I'm like, no fucking way. I ain't doing this shit. So when they call my name and I go up there and he blows the whistle, I start with my left. Boom, left. I try to fuck that goddamn audition up as bad as I can, okay?
He's the best guy there.
And I go over and I sit down, you know, so our company commander and the drill instructor are sitting there. They got papers on all of us. And you know what they're looking at? Fucking ASVAB scores. So they get all done, and then they start, okay, they start listing names, blip, 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 blip. Okay, if I called your name out, stay on the bleachers. Everybody else fall out. And I'm like, what? How the fuck did I pass this? I fucked this up every way but Sunday. And
Smart for your own good.
what I find out is later, these guys are the two of them are looking at these sheets.
Right.
They're picking us based on ASVAB scores.
Right.
So what this company ends up with that we're in, ends up about 70 guys, 21 nukes, which is incredible high number. The average company has 2.
Right.
We have 21. All the rest except like 8 or 9 guys are all advanced electronics, fire control, sonar techs. They're all 6-year programs.
ET.
Yeah, ET. And so, and the last few are in any rate because they can play an instrument.
Right.
That's what filled up the rest. So it was I'm glad it happened now because I became such good friend because out of the 21 of us nukes, probably at least half were mechanical MMs. So when we graduated from boot camp, we were already kind of friends. We go to A school. Now we're really close friends. We all go to A school together. We all go to nuke school together. You know, prototype is where we start to go different ways. But some of these guys, like a couple of weeks, I'm hooking up with 3 of these guys in New Orleans.
Right.
You know, these are my best friends. I take a bullet for these fucking guys because there's a lot of stories we won't get into here. But you know,
that's the classified material.
So that was kind of my boot camp experience. But yeah.
So this is what he's left a lot of stuff out.
Oh,
right? Okay. This is where I think they really they start delving into the psyche of the human being. How long did they keep you awake when you first went to boot camp? I don't know if they did the same trick to you or not, but
well, the interesting thing because the triple threat thing was a totally different experience, and one of the things that happened. So I happened to be there the very first day that they start forming this company. And what I found out,
you got right in
very first day. So
I was for 3 days.
I was there the longest of anybody in the company, and because they have to keep auditioning people, getting the choir and the thing. So the drill team filled up probably on day 1. You know, the rest took a while. So for 3 weeks, while they keep filtering in new guys that can play an instrument or sing, we're really in kind of limbo. We didn't realize it at the time, and so. Our company commander just kept us doing busy work and little things. There was never any what they call mashing at the time, which is like, you know, just exercising that dog shit. Give me 20. Okay, give me 20 more. Do it. You know, none of that was happening. We kind of find out at the end of it when we finally get enough people. That's when boot camp really started for us. The first thing was over. You know, all the shots, all the immunizations, all of that stuff. I mean, we'd had our haircut the first day, but and it was so funny because the company commander, that whole day, he's just telling us, "Oh yeah, I can't wait, you motherfuckers." He goes because we had to do the medical before he got the green light,
Right.
to just start mashing the shit out of us, you know. So it's funny, like we do that medical stuff, we're marching back, and he's like, all right, you know, he's just jonesing for this, man. And we get back, like, we hadn't done anything wrong.
Right.
We get back to the company, push all the racks back, hit the fucking deck, and he just mashed us for hours. Sharks and fucking, I mean, whatever, you name it, you know what I mean? Like it was all this built up aggression that he had because he couldn't for the last 3 weeks do it, you know what I mean? Like, now we're gonna pay, you know? So that was kind of my experience. So
Yeah. Now, what was the hardest part of boot camp for you?
Oh my God, I can't say anything was hard, really.
Really?
I found it so easy. Physically, I was in great shape. I was 100
Emotionally?
No, I think I was prepared emotionally too. Really.
You're so resilient. You've got a resilience to you, don't you?
Oh, I think so. Yeah. I think, you know, emotionally it wasn't hard at all. I think the weirdest thing, I think in boot camp, like, I think the weirdest thing was looking at my ID card, and I was committed for 6 years. And I think I was looking at, like, it was like it ended in the 90s, you know? And I'm thinking, when you're at that age, that seems like a lifetime. I can't even, you know, I couldn't even comprehend that, you know? And I'm like, so that was probably the weirdest thing. But no, it was a lot of, I hate to say this, it was kind of fun. The firefighting training we did. Oh, that was one of the funnest days. Yeah. And
did you get to shoot a real gun?
Yeah. You know, I'm not sure now, because we did a lot of weapons training on the boat. Yeah. You know, we had to be able to be prepared to repel boarders, but submarine. I can't remember now. And I always say boat, that's a submarine. That's not a ship, it's a boat. It's slur. So I can't remember in boot camp if we did any weapons training, but it was super easy. Like I said, conditioning, I came out in worse condition than I went in. Really, I was in really good shape at that time, and it was super easy. They were clearly guys not prepared.
Now, did they have stalls on the bathroom walls?
They had stalls, no doors. Yeah, and the thing was,
we didn't even have stalls. We had no walls. Well, you know, toilets.
What's funny is because my father was in the Navy, and and he had that little book that. It's almost like a yearbook. I forget what they call it.
Oh, yeah, cruise book.
For boot camp and stuff like that.
We just had one for our ship.
Oh, okay. And it was nothing had changed. Yeah. And the only difference was, what was funny is between the bathrooms in the barracks, there were these hand laundry washing stations, these big tables with because that was the key difference. My father, when he went in the early, 60, 61 or something like that, they used to have to hand wash their clothes and then go out in the courtyard and no clothespins. They had they had little strings. They had to tie them on with specific knots. Well, the thing is,
they're very particular.
All right.
Well, I tell young people, because I didn't understand it at the time either, like all of this stupid shit that you got to do perfectly in boot camp, make your bed the right way, all this stuff. This is all a test, because if you can't make your bed exactly the way they tell you, or fold your clothes exactly, how can you operate a reactor the way they tell you to do it? How, you know, it's all a progressive step.
Right.
They just give you a little more responsibility, and then you do it right, they give you a little more, you know. So, it makes sense now. I totally get it, but, you know, at the time, everybody's scratching their nuts like, what the fuck are we doing this for? What is this teaching us?
Right. The most emotionally traumatic parts for me for boot camp was for sure the bathrooms with no walls. I really did not like that. I like to poop in private. So like having my own little personal
communal
space.
showers.
You and everybody else.
So my first day of boot camp, well, actually it was my third day because they kept us awake for like 3 days doing the processing.
Wow.
And we'd have to stand and, go to this place, go to this, da-da-da.
Right.
And finally we got our own like racks and there's like 80, 40 beds doubled up. And they line us up. They tell us like, okay, take off all your clothes, everything but your flip-flops or whatever. So we're lined up 80 of 40 aside staring.
Short arm check.
Yeah, right? So you're just standing there at attention. Okay, that's fine. We turn left, march into the thing. The guy's saying, not to butt, boys. Okay, and I'm thinking, I have made a bad mistake here in life. But the guy, we get in there, and I'm really nervous. Like, I've never been this nervous, right? And I'm hoping to not get noticed at all in any way. This is my deepest desire, is to not be noticed in any way.
Right.
And the boot camp, our drill instructor starts yelling, "Holy shit, Dale, look at the cock on you." And I pray to God, he's not talking about me. Okay? So I didn't understand at that point that everyone's called by their last name, not their first name.
Right.
So I stooped down real low like this, and I slowly looked to the left, praying no one is noticing me, of course. And there was a fellow with the last name D-A-H-L. And he was impressively endowed.
Right.
And he was swinging around, and it was quite a sight that my boot camp instructor was pointing out. But for me, I'll never forget that day. That was very traumatic.
Right.
Like, I won't call it PTSD, but I'm not forgetting that moment.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that was pretty impactful.
I would imagine.
I absolutely would have been terrorized too, shocked by that.
Yeah.
But luckily, because the thing was, my house was like 2 houses away from the high school, so I didn't shower at the school. You know what I mean? If we had soccer practice, I'm all done. I just grab my shit and go home and shower. Yeah. So so I wasn't used to any communal showers myself.
Yeah.
But luckily, my freshman dorm, Corbett Hall, it was not even used for dorms anymore.
Right.
It was one of the oldest dorms on campus, and it was communal showers.
Yeah.
So I got over that quickly, and so luckily I was well prepared when I got to boot camp.
I grew in Dixmont, Maine. You know what I mean? Like, we were lucky to have a shower. Okay, so you get done. 13 weeks, basically, right?
Yep.
And you're in Great Lakes.
Yep.
A school. Tell me about that.
A school was for
advanced training.
Yeah, it was the
Your
first
job.
Yeah, and it was because I was mechanical. That was MM, machinist Maine.
Oh, that's what you were?
Yep. And so me and like the 3 guys I'm hooking up with in a couple of weeks down in New Orleans and a few others. We were all, the way they ran it was, it makes sense too, because that A school was for machinist mates, enginemen, boiler technicians. There were several rates in that.
Yes.
And they run the school on a daily basis. And it was kind of,
what's that mean, daily basis?
well, it's like instead of like, oh, you're gonna go to this school for the next 12 weeks, it's like they've got it broken, the whole program broken into days. So first day is day 1. At the end of the day, they give a test, you pass, you go to the next day. And it kind of makes sense because things happen, like somebody breaks their arm and they miss a day. They just drop right back into, they're not with the same classmates, but they just pick right up where they go. So it really made sense. But so we had a good time in A school, me and my boot camp buddies. Yeah. Because
you guys are smart.
When I look back at it, like, we were really fucking obnoxious, man. Like, oh my God. So fucking, because Dale knows what I mean. We joke about boiler techs and, being like knuckle draggers and shit like that, And these guys are like really white knuckling it to make it through the day, to get to the next day, and hoping that they're gonna make it through the pro. Here's me and my buddies. We got a contest of who's gonna ace the test that day. You know, like that was our little game to try to
Right.
amongst ourselves ace the
To
test.
give you
Right.
some context, maybe, like, what do you think the average ASVAB, sorry,
Oh,
what the average
man.
ASVAB score of like a boiler tech is? 35?
Oh, I wouldn't even dare guess,
I
but
don't
I
want to
do
insult
know.
him, a 35th
No,
percentile.
yeah. It-
So he's a 95th plus,
Right.
and they're the
Yeah.
35th percentile.
There really was a stark
They're going to be
difference.
turning wrenches
And
in
yeah.
115-degree engines.
and it was You, Dale know because he had the privilege of being on a surface ship. Being on a submarine is a different world. The people it's a totally different community, and I would occasionally get slapped in the face with the reality of surface ship. Like I remember we tied up at the tender in La Maddalena in the Mediterranean, and tender is a surface ship, and there were people on there that like would never get through the hat. I don't mean physically, I mean intellectually, would never be allowed on board the boat.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's really when you fall into that world, it's like, wow, how did these people get in the Navy?
Right.
you know, some boatswain's mates. No offense to boatswain's mates. Like here's an example, because we were very pragmatic on the boat, and so when you get underway, things get relaxed. You can grow your facial hair.
I was going to ask you about that.
Well, I mean, to some extent, you got to be able to still keep it. See, like mustaches. You could wear poopy suits, basically coveralls. So it was just a different world.
Sure.
A little bit different. Things were relaxed a little bit, and like I said, always pragmatic. So I had to meet the boat in La Maddalena. Me and a couple other guys. This was right after the Stark bombing, and
what year was that?
87, I
87,
think.
yeah.
I think it was 87. And we had to meet the boat in La Maddalena, me and two other guys. So we had to fly to Italy. And it was right after the Stark thing. We land in Rome, and the Rome airport is like every 10 feet there's a guy with a fucking Uzi.
Right.
It's just, security was just...
Yeah.
So, and the thing was, we knew several weeks before this that when we were going to be doing that, we got to fly over there and meet the boat. And then they told us, go ahead and grow your facial hair, because they didn't want servicemen standing out when we're traveling in Rome. And
Right.
so things like this. So, okay, that's what we did.
Yes, sir.
First foot on to the tender at La Maddalena. Some boatswain's mate, first class, that had like 27 years, to become a first class boatswain's mate.
You're
You
like
gotta,
a god.
you got to put in a lot of time.
And you got to be a sharp guy and a
Yeah.
dull set of tools.
And the first thing he does is like confiscate our ID cards because of our facial hair. We're unsat.
Yeah.
We, like in our world, we explained to them, we were told to grow our facial hair.
Mm-hmm.
That's why it is. Yes, as soon as we get on board and settle in, the first thing we'll do is shave.
Yep.
No, that's too right over his head. No, we gotta.
And he's probably a little angry.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they got a hard on for.
Hey, no, man, a lot of boatswain's mates are colorblind.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have some aptitude
Mm-hmm.
and you're colorblind in the military, no good.
Right.
You're not doing any electronics because you can't see
Right.
the conductors. You can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these guys, you'd have bright people be boatswain's mates, but imagine now you're running a grinder, a
Right.
chipper
Right.
for 16
On the
hours.
business end of a paintbrush.
On the wrong end of a paintbrush
Right.
for 27 years to be a first class,
Right.
right? And these
Yeah.
little pukes come out of school, right,
Right.
all smart, and they're just giving them ranks.
We're third class when
Yeah.
we go in.
Right.
Hey, when you're a third class boatswain, mate, you got like 25 people working for
Right.
you. You're like these kids are like little wet behind the ears students, and these guys are a fourth class boatswain mate is it's a powerful dude. And
Right.
Yeah. So I think he was master at arms.
Yeah.
And so okay,
Charge
fine.
of security
We go
for sure.
in, do what we plan to do, but now we got to go back
Yep.
and beg for our ID cards and get talked to about what we did wrong.
Right.
When, that's the kind of shit
Sure.
that really there's moments like that where I'm glad I'm on a submarine.
Yeah. No kidding.
So so I don't know where
we A school. So you went in. So I'm trying to help him understand. Now, in A school, one of the things I felt about the military was they're incredible at teaching challenging students.
They really are. They can really distill it down and make it so almost anybody can understand it. Yeah. That's why some people find it like...
Right.
They will really, because you know that System 1, System 2 thing?
Yeah.
They're making sure it's rated System 1 firmly.
Right.
Yeah.
You will do this again and again and again.
Right.
But one thing they did for us in IC school, which is we were close, our buildings were close with them. You went to A school like one building over from us.
Probably.
Had great mistakes.
Yeah, like, was Stipes Castle there? Do you live in Stipes Castle?
Yep. They would, for us, they would have work up like half a ship, imagine. And it was almost exactly, it was a surface ship for us. But it was exactly, when I got to my ship, it was exactly the same.
Yeah, they had a steam plant that was just like a boiler on a conventional ship.
So the training was, they would have a books part, real life, like, they did a good job, I thought, in A school.
Oh, it was great.
They were really apt at, I mean, it was very simple for, I don't know if that makes, it was a little repetitive at times.
Ironically, for somebody who has always found school to be quite easy, and you know, I've been through all the things and done all the schooling, you know, I was never that kid who didn't do the homework. My brother was. As bright as can be, you know, like intuiting calculus. I'm like, who does that? You know, whatever. But for him, you know, all that homework was a waste of time. I already know the stuff. I don't have to do it. I've always been good at, like, I don't know, just tell me, what are the things I need to do to get the grade? Like, fine, no problem.
You're the grinder.
I mean, it doesn't matter to me. Like, do the homework, don't do the homework. You know, it's not about avoiding the effort, right? It's just like, tell me how to do it, and I'll go through and get the grades and move on to the next thing.
Let me take a quick pee break, and then we'll move to nuke school. Okay, cool. Because what I'm going to give you now is gold.
No, gold!
In hour 3!
Gold! No.
I thought that was gold. We just missed pre-recording.
I thought so. It was.
There's probably some young kids that'd be like, oh yeah.
That's right.
Okay, so how long was A school?
I think A school, it wasn't that long. MMA school was not as long as EM or...
So you were on a boat after A school? So you were in for 6 years, but you were on, you know, like you were saying, landing in Rome in 87, you enlisted in 85, so...
I had
done with all your schooling before 87?
Yes, just before then.
Okay, got it.
All the training was a year and a half or so. EMs and ROs, reactor operators, they're officially ETs. I think they may have actually given their own rate. Back then, it was an ET, electronics technician, and that was an advanced electronics. So the EMs and the ETs, theirs usually went 2 years. Mine was probably a year and a half or something like that. And so, so finish A school, head to Orlando. Oh, sorry.
Machinist, so he gets done A school.
Right.
He's what's called a machinist mate.
Yeah.
Right.
Tell him what a machinist mate
sure.
does.
A normal
if
machinist
you just
mate.
gone to the fleet at that point.
Yeah, a normal machinist mate, like they're in the engine room with on a conventional ship, probably a boiler technician if it was a boiler or a gas turbine. But really operate the steam and maintain the steam plant.
What's the steam plant do on a ship?
The steam plant use steam to turn generators for power, and you turn the main engines to turn the screws. So it's power and propulsion. And plus, we make water on the submarine.
What makes the steam?
It depends on what the technology is. You know, on the boat it was this reactor, and but a lot of older ships were just boilers, oil-fired boilers. Diesel. Number 2. So that's typically what it is.
So that would have been, that was a path. Like you could have ended there at a machinist stage.
And
how much did they threaten you with that? Send you to the fleet when you were in
school?
Well,
I'll get to that in the nuke school because there is a tremendous amount of what we euphemistically called nuke waste.
Right.
People that don't make it through. Okay. So it's kind of funny, but I don't want to jump ahead. So when I get to the boat, so in Nuke School,
Where's Nuke School located?
at that point it was in Orlando.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
at that point,
You graduated from A school.
Yep.
Your family come?
No, I wasn't married yet.
Yeah.
And so I graduate Nuke School, go to Florida, Orlando.
Your wife and you're dating?
Yeah, we're dating. We're engaged at that point, I think.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're engaged at that
Yep.
point. And
She's in Connecticut?
she's in Connecticut.
Yep.
And so go to Orlando for Nuke School. And the way it's set up is they have a preschool before the Nuke School. And there's two versions of preschool.
Mhm.
There's a 3-week program and a 6-week program.
Okay.
They both cover the same amount of material.
Yeah.
You see where this is going.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I tested high enough in that nuke test that I got put in the 3-week program.
Yeah.
Holy shit, man. By the end of the 3-week program, I really was starting to question my decisions because it wasn't hard, the material, the
Right.
preschool. It was really prep.
Right.
Because not everybody had a year of electrical
Yeah.
engineering. And so I understood it. So it wasn't difficult material, it was quite easy, but it was just so much.
Yeah.
Just coming at you
Yeah.
at a fire hose.
Shove it in,
And then every week ended with a test. And every test, it was like I could answer every question on there if you just gave me another 30 minutes. And I'm like, and
Right.
there's no multiple choice.
Yeah,
It's like, right. And so the guys that passed the nuke test but didn't score as high, they got the 6-week
Yeah.
option. And so
The smart guys. No.
I know. If I didn't know that, I would have shaved a few questions off that, you know. Holy shit.
Left foot first.
Oh man. So when preschool's over, now they've got a good evaluation of everybody.
Yeah.
So when you move to Nuke School, literally in a different building, and the classes form, everybody has this designation based on their performance in preschool, where it's called either mandatory or suggested time. Like the worst was M45. We call those Mando Commandos. They had to put in 45 hours outside of class each week, okay, to study whatever.
Right.
And
How did that work? You were in a room?
yeah,
Were you in a room, a blank room, all white?
I should give you the context. So the class, which they run back then, they were probably putting 2 a year through the program. I was 8602 was my class thing. And it's broken up into sections. So there was about 15 sections, which are actual classrooms.
Yeah.
So when we start, I'm in a room with probably 45 guys,
Right.
pretty full classroom. And those are the guys that I'm going to spend the next 6 months with
Right.
in that classroom. And the thing is, because it's all, well, not all of it's confidential.
Right.
A lot of it is classified material. So
It's new.
Yeah.
so when we get done at the end of the day, we can't throw some books under
Right.
our hand and go back to
Yeah,
the
right.
barracks and read. No, and there were no books.
Right.
There were no books.
Computers?
No. They had only stopped using slide rules just a few years before that. Like we were still in the early phase of being able to have a TI-86.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, so there were no books, just blank notebooks. Okay. And so this is how a typical day would be, a full 8-hour day. You had 2 sections in the morning and then an afternoon section. So think of that as like 3 classes every day. And so the various instructors would come in and there was chalkboard all the way
For this
across.
3-week class.
No, this is Nuke School now. This is 6 months.
Okay, so you got through your 3
Yeah.
weeks.
Yeah, and I got tagged.
You're staying in like a bear. What's your living?
Oh yeah, it was
You get your own room.
at the time. No, it was a pretty nice barracks. They weren't that old.
yeah.
4-man barracks where,
Okay, yeah.
but they were 4-man barracks, but they were kind of built in a little quad thing. So
Do you have
each,
to do watch?
I don't remember standing any watch during Nuke School. Before Nuke School, before that, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we 4-man rooms with each room had a bathroom, and so the day would start. Somebody would be up at the thing, chalk. I mean, this was even then it seemed old school.
Right.
Just like the chalkboard's got like 4 sections.
Yeah.
Go to the next one.
And
Go
you're
to the
writing
next
down
one.
in this notebook.
And I'm just
Fast
writing
as you can.
feverishly,
Yeah.
and gets to the end, goes back over. If you didn't get it, you're fucked.
Right.
And I mean, there were times when it's so
They were pushing
fast.
you.
Oh yeah, it's just so fast. And so
Awesome, right?
I came out of preschool with I think it was I can't remember. I think it was mandatory 20 or something like that.
Yeah,
Very
20 hours.
Yeah, I had because
Do you wish you could do this to kids?
I do.
Mandatory 20, young. Oh, 45, young man.
so our typical day,
Yeah.
we'd be in there there's no study period, there's no downtime.
Right.
8 hours of this.
Yeah.
You break for lunch, after
hours.
the afternoon, which was like 4:30, 5 o'clock when we
Right.
finished. Everybody pretty much go back to the barracks, change, go have lunch, dinner, come right back, because all your studying had to be
Right.
in that same room.
Yeah.
And because you couldn't take any of this
Right.
material out.
Right.
Now, your notebook, though, stayed yours, right? So, like,
Yeah.
you took all these notes.
Yeah.
You could come back and study what you'd written.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. My memory is we each had little lockers we keep our notebooks in, and but when we come back after dinner, there was one person designated as the timekeeper, if you will, of logging these hours.
Oh, boy.
So when you show up, he's right. Okay, Hooper showed up at 6 p.m.
Right.
Another student?
Yeah, just another
Yeah.
person in the class. I think we
Kind
all
of in a
had.
leadership position? Or was it a leadership?
I don't think
or-
so. Back in that particular phase,
Proctorial?
they weren't really trying to pull out leaders yet. Not
Yeah.
like boot camp they did, you know.
So M45 would be like 9 hours a day, or like
Yeah.
or all weekend basically. Like,
Yeah,
I'm trying to
all
think through how do you
weekend.
get 45 hours extra in there.
It's tough. And well, the thing is, there's one other wrinkle. At midnight, the guy secured the watch. You didn't get credit if you were still there after midnight.
Right.
Okay, so every 3 weeks they would reevaluate that
Yeah.
rating. So
Okay.
if you're doing well,
Yeah.
they would relax it.
Right.
If you're struggling, they'd put it up.
Right.
And so, it was like we basically most of us got into a rhythm where we could take one day off.
Yeah.
Like take a Saturday.
Yeah.
We'd hit the bars on Friday, go to the beach on Saturday, Sunday morning, right after
All
breakfast,
day.
we're all back there, because the reality was, the regular part was, I found it much easier because even though it was fast, it was so much slower than the preschool.
Right.
I could keep up with it.
Right.
But here's the thing, there wasn't any, for me, there wasn't any studying.
Right.
I would be over there from 6 o'clock till
Right.
midnight just doing the homework.
Yeah.
Because I had to do this
Yeah.
homework. Even if I didn't need it for information, it was fucking required.
Yeah.
There's no gray area.
Right.
The Navy, you don't go to detention. You get fucking busted, kicked out of the program, So
So all the way through A school, you're like among the top. Like you're with the smartest guys. You guys are, playing your games. See who's gonna ace the test that day or whatever. How does that change as you move into
that's a
nuclear?
big dose of fucking reality. Like there wasn't anybody that stood out. I kind of take that back. I had one good friend that was in our boot camp class and everything. This guy separated from us, I feel, because he got married between A school and boot camp and nuke school.
Yeah.
And so I'd go, like when we'd have little breaks,
Yeah.
he was in the larger class, but
Yeah.
in a different classroom. I'd go over and talk to him. Everybody else is smoking and coking. He's sitting there doing the homework, doing
Yeah.
homework, doing
Right.
homework.
Yeah.
Lunch break. We'd go get lunch. He's doing homework, doing homework, doing homework. He'd be done by shortly after the day finished,
Yeah.
and he was home.
Yeah.
And he still did great
Yeah.
on the test and did great in the program, and he had a big career in nuclear field.
Disciplined.
Yeah. Well, I won't talk. He was disciplined like that, but he was a crazy motherfucker outside of that, man. I mean, oh, geez, I can tell you stories. Oh.
Well, that's
I had a one of the guys I got my PhD with was that same way. Like, just, I got in there. Everybody there's smart. Everybody's doing their thing. It's similar to the difference between an MBA and PhD. You do whatever. And first week of PhD, they're like, read these 13 30-page articles, summarize them, and come up with novel recommendations for the field. I don't know anything, but I'm sure, why not? And you get in there and somebody's like, yeah, they did that 30 years ago. You're like, oh, okay. But I had a good friend of mine who was absolutely brilliant, and just, you could see the separation all of a sudden. You're like, oh, okay, that guy is like operating just at a different level.
Yeah.
I mean, you just,
and I would run into
Yeah.
people. Well, my first wife's uncle worked for Millstone.
Yeah.
He's like that. Looking back at him, I kind of feel like he may be undiagnosed autism. like he's a savant.
Oh yeah.
Because socially he's really awkward acting, but he's just operating on a different plane.
Yeah.
I love these people.
It's ironic, that guy who I think of as like the next level. Like, his dad is literally a nuclear engineer, like a nuclear physicist.
Yeah.
And he got done with his first year PhD. So you're doing all this statistics, all this math. He's doing better than I'm doing, but and he goes home and he's talking to his dad, and his dad's like, "You should stay in business school." Like, you just don't get a PhD in nuclear engineering? Not a chance, man. Like, just stay there. Like, that's great. You just see, like, holy cow, the level of. And I mean, I think everybody eventually runs into that, probably. I mean, maybe not, Oppenheimer or something, but like everybody runs into that. But you do, you get to that level set, and you're like, oh, okay, this is a place where I'm in the pack. I can do the work, but like I can see those guys that are way out there, right? There are definitely plenty of people behind me, but like this is where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah. So
wait, what kind of stuff were you doing? Tell us about, like, in nuke school, like the curriculum.
It's all classified.
Yeah, I mean but at a general, it's really kind of a blend of, it's all science and math. There's no electives, so it's all higher level math, physics, chemistry, material, thermodynamics, a lot about what's that?
No, it's great.
It's all that stuff that you need to know to fucking get near a nuclear reactor.
Quick question for him, because I'm wondering the same thing happened to you. Yeah. So did you go to college after? You said you were in the service when you went to college.
Yeah.
You went to a specialty school.
Well, there was a. I'm pretty sure it's still there.
Yeah.
Because I went by it like 20 years ago, but I think it's a different name now. But at that time, it was called Thames Valley State. Yeah. Right near the base, Norwich, and they had a program. They were very accommodating for sailors, especially nukes.
As the credits, what the credits were, what they took. Because I go to Maine, right? Yeah. And the Navy's telling me that I have 2 semesters worth of college. Right. And a lot of it was like legitimately pretty good. Yeah. Our training in A school. Yeah. Right. And then the University of Maine's like, I'll give you 1 credit for CPR and boot camp. That was my 1 credit. They give you 1 credit. I was like, because we had that SMART transcript, and they were basically like, oh, you almost have an associate's degree. University of Maine's like, I consider it a giant money grab, but we'll talk about that separately.
Thames Valley State, you go up there, put your name on the paper, you got an automatic associate's degree in nuclear engineering, associates. And then they have the bachelor's program that you continue on with. So, they're very accommodating because they know
how rigorous.
Well, I mean, like in taking classes. Yeah. I think they were really probably way out in front for the time.
Oh, I'm sure.
Of distance learning. Yep. Even before the internet existed.
Yeah, there are lots of those schools that, especially when they're super close to the military base, they do a much better job than a lot of the other institutions. I mean, I think that's one of those areas where higher education really does. I mean, it's not like you can be like, I'm going to go take off a year and go back to school full
Yeah.
time. So you got to find ways to
Yeah.
accommodate people.
And I think at the end of the day, if you added up the hours spent,
Yeah.
even not even counting boot camp, just starting with A school, nuke school,
Yeah.
prototype, because it's a year and a half to 2 years, but it's not, I'm taking 3 classes.
Exactly.
It's not like college.
No.
It's 8 hours a day.
Absolutely.
Prototype 12
Right.
hours a day.
Yeah.
For, so that was kind of
So wait, you get done at how long was the nuke part before prototype?
nuke school itself was I told you the preschool was 3 to 6. Nuke
Yeah.
school itself was 6 months of
6
what I
months.
just described. Yeah.
And basically, how much of a break did you? 6 months, was it blocked up? How did it work?
Oh yeah, there was no break.
And go.
That what I just described every day, every week.
Did
for
you
2
have a
6
break
months.
between preschool and nuke school? Like, is there any leave in there, or it's just like?
My memory is that the timing I think worked out that we did, and this was just fortunate for us. The timing worked out where preschool ended right around Christmas time. So I think we took if we wanted to, we could take leave over Christmas,
Yeah.
like a week.
Okay.
And the only reason we got it was because it was
Yeah,
between
right,
the school,
right.
and that wasn't scheduled that way. It was just a
Right.
bit of luck, but otherwise, but once nuke school started, that was
Right.
6 months
That's it.
straight, no
Yeah.
break, nothing. And so, yeah, I was luckily I would be there. I'd come back from dinner. I'd be there till midnight, just doing, and after the first 3 weeks, my rating went down to like suggested 15. That was the minimum.
Yeah.
Suggested 15. But I was there from like 6 to midnight. That's 6 times 5. That's
Yeah.
30 hours. All day Sunday.
Right.
So it's still doing almost
Right.
40 hours.
Right.
It was nice not having to
Right,
do it.
right.
Because that would. But that little funny story.
What a
when
great system.
that was after preschool, it was when we were all just kind of scattered amongst all the barracks. So after preschool, and they formed us into this class, they realigned all of in the barracks. And I remember one of the guys I was roomed with. I had one good roommate I liked, and one I didn't even know who he was, but one I knew, and he was just a total jerk off. And I just knew he wasn't going to last. So I'd taken my sea bag over, and luckily I like bottom bunk. I put it on the bottom bunk, went back to get some stuff, come back, it's up on the top bunk. What the fuck? We get into a little dispute about that. And it was like, you ain't even going to be here in 3 weeks, I said. And I was fucking right, man. 3 weeks he was gone. In another 3 weeks, another roommate gone. It was just me and the one guy that I liked, so
Right.
2 of us in a 4-man room. And that was it. I mean, the difference from the way the class looked when we started to
Yeah.
when it ended, we literally lost half the people
Yeah.
in that class. And the statistics at the time were, for every 6 people that go into the program, only 1 makes it all the way to the prototype. But the biggest shakeout was nuke school.
Yeah.
I saw that with my own eyes.
The first period, do they shake it out right in the beginning? How would they?
Yeah, I think most of them failed out, dropped out pretty quick. They hit a wall quick, and they knew it. There were a few that made it. Oh, I feel bad for guys that made it, because it's just torture, man. Doing that, I felt, But yeah, there were a few that got shaken out later. The thing is,
What confidence though it must have given you making it through that school.
that is the single biggest success.
You know what I mean? Like,
Because that kid that I was telling you about
Yeah,
that
yeah,
wasn't sure I could make it through warrant officer program. Now after making it through the whole program and having successful tours work, fuck man, what do you want me to do? I'll figure it out.
Right.
I'll figure it out.
So, but the other surprising thing,
Yeah.
the number of suicides
Oh yeah.
or attempted suicides.
With the dropouts or the people in nuke school?
I would say it was, but I like when they were still in nuke school. I remember one weekend there were 3 guys that tried to kill themselves. A popular method that was fucking stupid at the
Yeah.
time was taking a ball of Tylenol,
Yeah.
because it just destroyed their liver,
That's it.
and a lot of them survived with
Yep.
the fucking, like.
Yeah.
So it was bad.
It's a big problem. You see that especially at elite, educational. Basically any place where people are putting themselves under that pressure and they feel like. That's why I love what you were talking about at the very beginning today, where we're talking about failure. Like, stuff's gonna happen. Like, you're not gonna be the best at like whatever, right? And at some point, you're gonna hit a wall and you're gonna fail, and that's an opportunity to learn, not like, well, I failed, so now like I've gotta think about myself in a different way. You're not a different person, but that is a really hard lesson for some people to learn, and it's
so hard
scary.
when you're in it.
It's
So
scary.
much easier looking down,
Yeah.
or when you get old. Like, you know what I mean? When you're looking back,
Sure.
you're like, oh, that was a learning experience. At the time, you're like, it's all ending. Like,
Right.
you're like, you know what I mean? When you're in the,
Oh,
in the
yeah.
thick of
Right,
it.
but how do you give people that before they take an entire bottle of Tylenol?
I
Because
know.
then you're like, man, like,
Makes me think of like there's a Jockoism, I love Jocko, right?
Yeah.
And he says like, no SEAL officer shouldn't be touching a point in their gun. And I think that's like the key is like, you should be a step back from the battlefield as an officer.
right.
Because then that's the key, for not losing your marbles.
Get too emotional.
Taking a step
Yeah.
back and being able to see the broader.
Right.
Yep.
Okay, so there was this sounds weird, Jim, but like, okay, so with a bunch of the Navy SEALs, there's a bunch of suicides. These guys were failing out of the buds, the basic of them.
Yep.
And what they started doing, my understanding, is that they started separating the guys that had failed, and they kept them together for like a week or a transition, gave them a transitional period.
Yep.
And what ended up happening is a lot of these guys figured out it wasn't them that was messed up, it was the guys that were making it.
Yeah.
That were messed up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was the normal. These guys were all the normal people.
Sure.
Like, it's torched people
Yeah.
that make it. Like,
Well, I kind of feel that way about like lifer diggets used to call on the submarine.
Yeah.
Guys, the chiefs, the guys that are putting in 20
Yeah.
on a submarine, they got some fucking screws loose. I hate to say it, I like a lot of them. I'm great friends with some of them, but if you like that and do, like the machinist mate rotation was 5 and 2. I would have, if I did 20, I'd have done 15 at least at sea. And you got to have a screw loose to want to be on a submarine, because it's not like anything else you'll ever do. It's probably closer to like being on the fucking space station, but without any communication with fucking planet Earth.
Yeah.
So it's
It's almost like space, right?
you're so isolated.
Okay, so now 1 in 6 make it through nuke school. What is prototype?
Well, I
Explain
say
what prototype.
1 in 6 in the whole program.
Yeah, the whole thing,
half
with
of them
prototype included.
prototype, but usually by the time they make it to prototype, you
Yeah.
don't lose too many.
They're
But you
good
still-
students at that point.
Yeah. Academically, they're pretty good. Then
Yeah.
the next phase is
Yeah.
more practical, of actually operating a reactor, a
Okay.
real operating reactor.
Yes.
Of course, you got to go through a lot. You've got to demonstrate that you know every fucking thing on that plant.
Right.
What does that valve do? What does that thing do? You've
Right.
got to know everything. And I mean, we literally memorize. I mean, that's how you had to get checked out. You had to demonstrate to a staff person that you knew that system, like Maine seawater. You had to know that system backwards and forwards. Here's a piece of paper. Draw every fucking line, sensing line, wire, everything, and explain it all, and know what you got to do in casualties. And before you could ever touch that equipment.
And how old were you at this point? You're standing in that engine room. What age are you? 20?
In
21?
prototype, I think I turned 21 in prototype. I think.
Right.
Yeah. That's my memory of it. And prototype is like, now it's like a lot. It's starting to get into the more physical and mental aspects. That you've already demonstrated you're smart enough.
Right.
But so now it's like, now you're working. We were working. They operated just like a regular power plant, and so 24-hour coverage. But we were on Southern Swing. I don't know if you guys know what Southern Swing is.
No.
It's a shift work. It's kind of fallen by the wayside, but like it was very popular for years, but it's typically an 8 hour rotation, whereas most places are 12 now, 2 and 2, 3 and 3. But it was Southern Swing was like, I'm going to give you the 8 hour version first because it's easy to understand. You work 7 days straight, then you get 1 day off.
8 hours a day, 7 days straight.
An 8 hour one, yeah. Ours was a modified version of that. But, yeah, 8 hours a day, you get 1 day off, 8 hours of second shift, 2 days off, and then finally 8 hours of third shift, midnight to 8, and then you finally get a 4-day weekend.
Yeah.
And that's Southern Swing.
Wow.
We had that basic thing, but add 4 hours to it. So we were doing 12.
I get it. Plus you
But it was that schedule, and it was like, and I'd gotten married early in Prototype, and we were living at Westover Air Force Base, which was just north, because the Prototype I went to was in Windsor Locks, Connecticut, which so many people never knew there was a reactor sitting right between Hartford and Springfield, and it was just really poor timing. I wish I could go back and redo that decision because I ended up, by doing that, living on the base instead of just taking the money and getting an apartment. Man, what was it? The main artery 91 that runs through Springfield to Hartford was all under construction.
Oh.
So what should have been a 20-minute drive was like an hour each way.
God.
And I was carpooling with a couple other guys that were married and that we were on the same shift with. But that's all about just physically grinding you down. To see if you're going to hold up to
being fatigued.
Being fatigued, and then standing a watch. Because once you get qualified for a watch, then you're in the rotation, keeping the plant running, that type of. Well, you do it with an instructor for a while, and then once you finally are there, satisfied, you're not going to blow up anything. They'll let you stand a real watch. Oh, after you got qualified, that was the thing. There was you go through all of that, and at that end, when you feel you're ready, you don't have to go. I mean, you're there for the full 6 months of Prototype. Yeah. But if you're very self-paced at that point. At Prototype, very self-paced, because the book learning is out the door. We still got to learn these things, but you do it on your own time. I mean, you got to be there. And so some guys, I was the first one qualified in my class at Prototype, and I got qualified probably.
How many guys were in your class?
Windsor Locks was the smallest Prototype because there was 2 others, New York and Idaho Falls. We only 10% of the people from Orlando went to Windsor Locks because it was just a small.
How many was that?
Probably, I feel like maybe 30 or 40 people. Maybe.
30, 40. Any women?
At that time, no. There was an instructor. Yeah. Because they had a period before that where they let women be nukes. Yep. So there was a woman nuke instructor. But then the period I was in, they moved away from that. Yep. Because there were no, and it made sense because at that point they didn't let women be on combat ships. There's no nuclear non-combat ships. Right. So it's really, it kind of made sense because she's taking a billet. She's permanently shore duty, taking a billet that a guy, somebody would rotate out of sea. Right. So it made. I'm totally in favor of women being in the military. My wife's a Navy veteran. So,
what'd she do?
She was just a personnelman. Yep. Spent her whole enlistment at RTC. Oh, yeah. Went to boot camp. went to her A school. I got assigned, basically mustering out the failures at boot camp. You know what I mean? Jesus Christ. So, once you qualify, then you go down to the 8-hour Southern Swing. You don't have to put in those extra 4 hours.
Oh yeah, that's.
So that was the incentive to get through that. So it was funny. Just like a year ago, my mother calls me up. Or first she texts me this article from NBC News or something about the whole nuke program. Yeah. And then she calls me and she goes, I didn't know that you were going through all of that. I'm like.
I was just gonna say, how much of the people in your life, like your family and friends, like how much of a clue, and I know you're outside of the Navy friends, had a clue of what you were doing?
probably not that much.
Yeah.
So much of it I couldn't. I mean,
You weren't the same anymore, were you?
no,
You weren't like the other
Yeah.
kids your age, were you?
no, not at all, not at all. Yeah.
And I find it interesting for me from Jason's because when you go back to school after the military, you're not a kid anymore.
No,
The military beats the kid out of you. Is that the
I
right
know.
word?
It really.
I don't know
mean,
what the
there's a level of maturity because I love my sons.
Yeah.
And my youngest, he graduated a couple of years ago from
Yeah.
Champlain. I think he's just 26 right now,
Yeah.
and he's really just getting his first job and stuff, And I love him, and he's bright, and he's going to be successful.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's just a generational thing. It's like by the time I was 25, I was out and already in a managerial position at a civilian power plant. You know what I mean?
Let's
it was
go
like,
back though. You were at Prototype.
Yeah.
You were 21.
Yep.
At what point did they start leaving you alone with that reactor? Like,
After,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
when could you have blown up Connecticut?
Once,
What age?
Once I was qualified, they gave me the stamp. I was just like the staff.
Yeah.
They would put me in the rotation to run the plant. I could even operate with a student, like showing them, letting them
Yeah.
shadow me, that type of stuff. That was when we were officially, a nuke.
This is what I love about the military, right?
Mm-hmm.
You got a 21-year-old kid running a nuclear power plant. And even like I saw 19, 20-year-old kids driving an aircraft carrier.
Right.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
you think they're more capable than you think
Oh, absolutely.
with the right training.
Well,
Yeah.
that's it. I mean, I
Programming.
think we have this sense that these young people are not capable, and I think that that's just not true, right? You just
Yes.
gotta figure out what it is that they can do, and you gotta give them the training and hold them accountable for it, and
Yeah.
I mean, I think that we at the business school we have 70 students who work in the business school. We used to have 12, and they would sit and watch the paper trays on printers. And now we
I
have
think
them,
I was one of those kids.
and now we have them doing all sorts of stuff, right?
Yeah.
Planning whole programming for incoming class. We do all bit, but
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
really
Yeah.
about saying, we're going to have a rigorous selection criteria. We're going to do the training, and then we're going to hold people accountable for it. And there's no reason why a 21-year-old can't do it as long as they understand that what you're doing actually matters. Like you're not just
Yeah.
well, whatever today.
Well, the military was good about the carrot and the stick.
There you go.
Oh, fuck
They
yeah.
had both right
Yep.
there ready.
There you go.
Oh, here's
Yeah.
the yummy,
Right.
or here's the.
Right.
And that's the thing. That when I say qualified, that's so critical because you're under the microscope at
Oh,
that
yeah.
point.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't get away with the things that other sailors could.
Yeah.
They might just get, we're going to take half your pay for
Right.
a month, or
Right.
DUI,
Right,
things
yeah.
like this that maybe you lose a rate. No, if all
You're
these
going to
things,
the
Yeah.
you lose your qualification, and I'm just a regular machinist
Right.
at that point.
Right.
And that scared me more than any
Exactly.
fucking thing else,
Yeah.
man. Because
Going to the fleet.
yeah, because I can give you a good example of that when I got to the boat. If you want to move to that that part,
Yeah.
actually going to the fleet.
Yeah.
Because being
So
qualified.
what does graduating look like from Prototype? Sorry.
There wasn't a whole lot of fanfare at that. If that's
Yeah.
what you mean.
Yeah. So you got done
I don't
6
think
months
they-
of Prototype,
yeah.
right?
Yep.
You qualified.
Yep.
What? One day you're like,
No, what basically, once you're qualified and you're probably a couple of weeks left in prototype,
Oh, okay.
some guys would take it right to the limit.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
if they were
yeah,
close
yeah.
enough and they showed enough, they might give them a little extension.
yeah.
But,
They want
but
you
yeah,
out of there on a timely
yeah.
fashion.
We had to fill out paperwork. The stuff. Where do you want to go?
Oh,
Where do you
okay.
want to be? And
How did they choose that? How did you get to choose your orders? Was
it
it based on class ranking?
No, and that's the thing that's really stuck in my craw, man. Because,
Yeah.
like I said, in prototype there isn't so much a grade.
Right.
It's just when you get qualified.
yeah.
And like I said, I was the first in my class,
Right.
and so I'd like to think that stood for some. I mean, there were grades, but it wasn't a thing. So I was kind of pissed off because there were two options at the end of prototype for us, machinist mates. you could become an ELT, engineering laboratory tech.
Yeah.
It was doing, sampling the reactor loop and shit like that, all the chemistry on the boat, and nuke welder. And so I didn't want to do the ELT thing.
Yeah.
So I did put in a request for the nuke welding. I
Yeah.
thought that might be cool. And fucking one of my fucking boot camp buddies, he was a bit of a douchebag. He's not part of the group that I'm seeing on a couple of weeks.
Phew.
He had some sort of mental breakdown in the middle of prototype, went off the reservation, and but I don't know, they got him righted and got him back on track and shit, and they give him the fucking welding billet. I'm like, what the fuck? I had no aspirations of being a welder,
Yeah, right.
but I always liked taking as much schools
Sure.
that they'd give me. You know?
Because that was another C school. They give you another.
Yes,
welding,
that was
yeah.
another.
C school's like advanced training.
Okay.
Yeah, and that would extend me several more months
Not
on shore.
Yeah, not in the sea.
Right.
That's the biggest motivation right there. So I was really pissed when I didn't get that, and so I wanted to stay in Connecticut. So my list of my first choice was
Yeah.
new construction Groton, because there was always boats in the yards,
Right. Yeah.
and that's shore duty.
Yeah.
Boomer Groton,
Mm-hmm.
fast boat Groton.
Time out. Can you tell them the difference
Oh.
between a boomer and a
Yeah,
surface
there's
attack?
two submarines. The Boomer are what we call those are the ballistic missile
Yeah,
submarines
right.
that launch the
Yeah.
and
Tomahawks.
they're mostly the ballistic ones, but every boat has tomahawks now.
Yeah.
You can launch them from torpedo.
Yeah.
But
I've seen it.
yeah, so and then the fast boats like what I was on. And the big key difference here, why I personally, like from a work perspective,
Right.
I like being on the fast boat.
Right.
But the Boomer is a better situation for family
Right.
because you're out to sea for 3 months.
Right.
You come in, a different crew takes it out.
Got it.
And you basically spend half the year on shore duty.
120 days, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's when they in my understanding, I knew a lot of these guys like when the other crew's out with a boat,
Right.
that's when they'll do some training. Maybe they'll take a class here or
Yeah.
there or something. But a lot of guys would just they have to show up, report in. Okay, nothing going on. All right,
Right.
take off. I mean, it was sweet.
Yeah.
You know, fucking fast boat, one crew,
Right.
and they're sea-going motherfuckers, man.
One crew only on a fast.
Oh yeah, yeah. The first 2 years, first year I was on board,
Yeah.
9 months underway.
Yeah.
Wow.
Second year, 10 months underway.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that gives you an idea, you know, because we found out like over in the mid, like there was the Virginia, which was a new cruiser, was over there. We were operating with them, and then there was some conventional boats, and that's what it was so obvious. No,
Oh, surface guys.
surface ships that
DDGs,
use
sir.
yes, that use
Cruisers.
fuel oil, boilers, you know, old school.
Yeah.
And that's when it became quite obvious that at that point the nuclear navy really carried the load between the aircraft carriers, the nuke cruisers, which weren't many, and then the subs, because the conventional boats that were running oil,
Yeah.
we were in sharing port with these guys talking to them. They beelined it right across the Atlantic,
Right.
to the port, and that's all they did. Then they just port hopped,
Right.
you know, in port for 4 to 7 days, 2 days over to there. Then that's all they did because they burned so much oil
Right.
that they didn't steam.
To
you
give
know?
you perspective, I believe our ship on our 6-month deployment burned 386,000 barrels of oil.
Yeah. Sounds about right.
And a lot of it's powering the radar.
Yeah, yeah.
No, that's not a joke. Like, it's not the screws, it's the radar that takes the power.
Because of all that, because you got to have so much electricity. To run it.
Yes, it's the equivalent of 50. Our generator, for our radar, would power 55 homes
Wow.
just for our radar equipment.
Wow.
Yeah, which they don't have radar. These boys.
No.
No radar needed.
Right.
And sonar was 99.999% of the time was passive.
So you're like, okay, no fast, going Boomer, want the 120 on and off.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they give me the fastball.
Right.
Oh,
My third choice.
Welcome to
I'm
the
like,
Navy.
I'm so glad I busted my ass to finish high, you know, and then I get my third choice, you know.
Yeah.
The guy, my buddy that I was telling you about, that was so above the rest of us. He got new construction in Groton.
Oh,
So
sure, dude.
well, it was cool. I got to see him a lot, but
Yeah.
it was like, geez, that was what I was
Okay,
hoping
so
for.
you're going to this fast attack sub. Which one do you go to first?
I was only on one, the Providence.
The Providence.
Yeah, SSN 719.
719. That's nuclear.
Yep, it's
And out of Groton.
Yep, it was a Los Angeles class,
Yes.
which was a new fast boats
Yes.
at that time. Now almost all of them. There's only a few still running.
Jacksonville was that one?
Probably,
Yeah, I
I'm
think
pretty
it
sure.
was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They tend to be named after cities like
Yeah.
Providence. And ours though was the very first what they call baby boomer. Okay, 719, and the Pittsburgh was our sister ship. We were the first two, where they put 12 vertical launch tubes in the bow. So besides the torpedo tubes, we also had. So that's why they call it a baby boomer, because you had to preload these things, and once you launched them, you had to
You got
go
12
into port
shots.
to
Right.
fill them back up again.
What were you shooting with those tubes?
Harpoons and tomahawks.
Oh yeah, harpoon anti-ship missile,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Shooting
yeah.
other ships with the harpoon.
Yeah.
And the tomahawks are they go in the air
Right.
and can go a long ways.
Right.
And we got to do, if you want me to talk about this, one of the times we were in the Med, we got to do the very first, what they call Mark 48 Sink-X.
Yeah.
Like we sank a ship
Yeah.
with a Mark 48 torpedo. And so that was one of the cool things.
That would be cool.
Yeah, and we got to see it because the Virginia was there with us, and to give you the full story and the context, this is Reagan, really, trying to rattle Gaddafi's cage.
Yeah.
And Gaddafi had that line of death across.
What year was it?
I think this was '87 too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So close to take down that wall, baby.
Yeah, and he had that line of death that nobody recognized.
Yeah.
So Ronnie had us. Yeah, they had not us, but some other ship towed this old Italian destroyer that had been a U.S. World War II destroyer.
Yes.
Dragged it right inside the line of death, right as close as we could get to, and still be international waters off the coast.
Disputed with territory.
Yeah, like we didn't recognize his boundary. And then we did a Mark 48 Sink-X, and the Virginia was there. Virginia might have
Tell us
towed it.
about a Mark 48 real quick.
Oh, Mark 48 is an anti-ship torpedo.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're still what they're using today. Powerful weapon.
How does it work? So it comes out of the tube of the submarine.
Yep.
What happens then?
Well,
And what decides when they launch it? Like okay, so you got a ship in your side. How's that all work? Sonar?
yeah. Well, that's really interesting because keep in mind, I'm in the engineering space, so I'm talking about this. I didn't operate any of this equipment.
Yeah.
It was
You're just the power.
Yeah. We're keeping the lights on, and so. But I knew all these guys and talk about it. So when they did it, I think we were 12,000 yards away when we launched it. Oh, and it's got a wire guided element to it.
Mm-hmm.
Like when it first launches, it's connected, so they have a long time to adjust
Cancel
this.
it.
Cancel it.
But once the
whatever.
wire's gone, can you
Once
no
the
longer
wire's gone,
cancel?
it's pretty much on its own then.
Right.
Yeah.
Good luck.
And it was funny because when we were out doing stuff where we were launching these things, firing these things, when we come into port, dry dock, all this cable would be wound around our screw.
Right.
Like that was what they did have to cut off. But so we launched the thing, and so none of us have experienced this before.
Right.
We didn't know.
Even your officers
Oh,
and
maybe
your NCOs?
maybe the skipper might have, but I don't think any of the chiefs or anything
Even
really
NCOs
were.
had
Yeah, I don't think they'd ever experienced it.
Yep.
And so, you're wondering like, are we gonna? I know sonar's gonna hear it. They're gonna hear a fucking goldfish fart over in the Atlantic, but but will we hear it? We're 12,000 yards away. Are we gonna hear it? And the thing is, these are fast too, and they have control over that too. And so we're just sitting there, that's the thing. It took what seemed like a long time,
Right.
But when it finally finally hit, we fucking knew it, and it was no question.
Did you feel it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And well, it wasn't jarring, but
yeah.
it was like
a
a dinosaur foot, boom,
Right.
Jurassic Park.
Yeah, and but seeing the video after the fact, because the Virginia had a helicopter circling it so we could see the video, and it was really cool because I had remember talking to the fire control guy that launched the fucking thing and said, is it hard? Is it it must be easy to hit the ship that's not moving, right? And he's like, no. He goes, it's actually quite hard because it's not making any sound.
Right.
It's not making any sound.
Normally that torpedo chases sound, right?
Yeah. And so he said it was actually it's more complicated than hitting if it was a real ship trying to run away.
Right.
You know, they could,
the engines,
yeah,
screws
fucking screws cavitating. I mean, it just loves that shit. So so then when we see the video, so cool because you could see that fucking torpedo come in. It come in too low, went right underneath, circles right around, adjusts its depth. It lifted this fucking destroyer right up out of the water.
Breaks
and just
in half.
broke it right in half.
Right.
Boom, and half sunk like within a minute. The other half bobbed, and then we find out later that from the Virginia that Gaddafi saw this happen, and scrambled a couple fighter jets that were coming hot on the Virginia, and the Virginia is like they got locked.
Helicopter too, right?
Yeah, and they got missile lock on these two things, and they're just seconds from fucking because it was in my mind that's what we were trying to do.
Right.
This is just my opinion, but we were trying to, and I start that kind of made my it shifted my. It was a very eye awakening thing. Like, Jesus, you know, like I don't like Gaddafi either. But I was like, this is really provocative.
Yeah, we're really provoking something here.
Going right up to his front house, you know, lighting fucking something on fire, you know, like, you know. So they pulled up just seconds away from being shot up.
Just so he understands, explain to him what the Virginia is.
Oh, the Virginia was a nuclear-powered cruiser. A little bigger than a destroyer.
They probably had two helicopters.
Probably.
SH-60 Bravos, or
I don't know. That's above my pay
grade. So they got some helicopters.
Yeah.
You're there supporting them.
Yeah.
You guys were pretty safe from MiGs.
Oh yeah.
For the most part, right?
I'm sure they didn't even know we were there. They probably didn't even know how that ship got blown up.
Yeah.
You know, because to an observer, it's just sitting there, and all of a sudden it just lifts up out of the water.
Boom.
You know, so
it was them that took the majority. The Virginia took the majority of the risk.
Yes, yeah, they were the one. Yeah, there's no question in my mind. I mean, at that time, I don't think I'm saying anything fucking confidential.
Yeah.
We were light years ahead of the Soviets in submarine technology.
Yes.
We would chase them around, and they wouldn't even know we were there.
Yeah.
And they were the next best.
Right.
You know, so
there
Gaddafi didn't even have a submarine, and surface ships aren't very effective against submarines. A modern day submarine.
Right. For us, the way we would try and attack the submarines was with our helicopters. Mm-hmm. So we would drop sonar buoys. We'd make these perimeters of sonar buoys to try and net these boys in. Right. And then once we found them, we could usually light them up.
Drop some depth charges.
But
we had missiles that were actually torpedoes.
Oh
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they were a little smaller.
Yeah.
My understanding, I never saw one.
You don't have, and then the helicopter would also drop depth charges, but you have to know how deep the boys are.
Right.
And you get ahead of them, and all you need to do is make an air bubble near the sub.
Right.
And you'll cause them a world of discomfort.
But the thing that most people don't know unless they're on there, and I'm certainly not an expert on this, but there's so many layers in the ocean, salinity layers, thermal layers, that they act almost like curtains. So you get down below some of these, and typical detection don't work. Right. You can bounce active
33 feet. What's the first layer that really makes an impact?
Man,
when do you guys start getting safe from like airplanes? From like the P, Orions.
The old P3 Orions. I don't know really. I honestly don't know.
They use the P3 Orions to hunt the subs also.
Yeah, they launched little sonar buoys into the water, but
they fly real close to the water.
Yeah. I don't really know, because I think it's my memory of it is, because like I said, this wasn't part of my job at all.
Yes.
I would know, holy shit, we must be in cold water because we got 30-degree injection temperature on seawater, you know, like, you know, like shit like that, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it would change depending on where you are, and you know what I mean. Like, you could be in one spot in the Mediterranean, and the Atlantic, it might be all different. The Arctic.
So that was the one boat you were on.
That's the one boat. Yep.
And wow, that was probably the most intense moment of your time on the ship.
No, that was fun. No, we had real casualties that were much more intense.
Explain what you mean by real casualties.
Like flooding casualties, fire casualty.
People dying?
No, we didn't lose anybody. We kind of close a couple times. Yeah, we did.
And how would the flooding happen? Well,
Couple ways, like the serious one, and this is kind of this was right around the time I got hurt.
Yeah.
Okay, so we were operating in the Arctic Circle. I fell down
under the ice.
Not under the ice.
Yep.
Right in that, you know, we might be under the ice at one moment, you know, right in, but I fell down through the hatch, tore my hand up.
You guys had surfaced, right? You guys had surfaced?
My memory is we'd come up to periscope depth. It was rough as fuck. And when, you know, like modern submarines do not ride well on the surface.
Right.
Because they don't have that ship-like external skeleton the way the old diesel boats did. Because they spent most of the time on surface and just dived to avoid detection.
Because they could only dive for what, like a few days, right?
Yeah. And, or the battery might only last a few hours, you know. So modern boats go faster under the water, so we don't have that exoskeleton. So the what you get with that is imagine trying to float a pipe in the water.
Oh, yeah.
There's just I mean the slightest ripples got this thing going crazy. So
it should just
So after I got hurt. Once squadron finally found out about it, like a week later, they sent a message because you know you can't really communicate. At that time, we'd come up to periscope, stick an antenna out, send a radio burst of messages.
How high? 30 feet? What depth would you
be
at?
When we were periscope depth, it was officially on the depth gauge. It was 60 feet.
Okay.
So they'd launch a radio burst, receive a radio burst, and dive. Real quick. Yeah, and they could only pack so much information into those radio bursts, you know. So finally, the burst went out describing squadron and what my injury was, and the reply come back: we got a medevac. We got to get him off the boat.
Helicopter.
Well, that was discussed, and thank goodness they didn't do this. Although maybe at the end of the day it would have been better, but I think it was deemed just too unsafe, because we headed to Scotland. And the last 30 hours of the transit was on the surface, because when the depth is shallow enough, we have to stay on the surface. We had 30-foot seas. Okay.
Oh jeez.
This boat
what
was.
the pitch numbers like? I mean, the roll numbers. What were your roll numbers?
Oh God, I don't know, but it was.
They must have been 30. You must have been hitting 30-degree rolls.
Probably. It was really bad.
Yeah.
I mean. Even guys that don't normally get seasick were getting seasick because it was 30 hours.
Right.
Okay.
What the bearing? I mean, your bearing look like puke or?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I think most people could hold it together, at least keep it in the bag. But so we get that through that.
Yeah. They
do a small boat transfer of me.
Yep. Like a rib, a little rigid, inflatable.
No, it was actually like a. Because I just had my hand all wrapped up like a big club, but I could stand and walk and use this hand, and so it was a Jacob's ladder. It was fun.
How do you get down a Jacob's ladder?
Oh man, I tell you what, we pulled it. It was relatively calm.
What a Jacob's ladder.
Oh, it's a big 2-rope wooden thing ladder, but the wood is pretty big and rugged, and so it was like a tug that came up next to us. Yeah. They had the Jacob's ladder. We had one.
Yeah.
And we're kind of doing this number.
Right.
You know? So there's two guys tied
Very
up.
dangerous evolution.
Oh, very dangerous, because if you slip, you're going to get crushed.
Gone.
And so there's two guys tied off
Right.
on each side of me, making sure I don't go.
Right.
I can't be tied off because they got to
Yeah.
transfer me. And there's two guys on the tug that are waiting. And so it's like finally it's like one of these like when we come up like this and they just grab me and yarn me right over the side. And that's how it happened. And so so the boat I find out later.
Yeah.
The boat.
The tub?
Oh no, I mean
Your
much
ship,
later.
your
Much later.
submarine.
Yeah, I find out much later after that transfer they go back to get on station again, and I find out after like probably because it takes me at least a week to get back to Groton.
Yeah.
And when I get back to Groton, back to squadron, I find out that they left, went back 30 hours on the surface again. To get back on, they no sooner got back on station. The next radio broadcast, the message they got, the skipper's wife had died.
Oh.
So they have to turn around, do it again.
Oh my God.
2 more 30-hour. I felt so bad for those guys,
Yeah,
oh man. And but back to that initial transit in, when you're on the surface, you got to have watches up above, up in the conning tower, and
Make sure you don't get boarded.
it's usually an officer of the deck might be up there, and some enlisted guy, both
You guys have fire
binoculars.
hoses?
What's that?
You ever use fire hoses?
Fire hoses? Like for
We in port the submarines. I saw a submarine repel boarders once.
oh.
We had Greenpeace guys try and board them, and the submariners took like a 2-inch fire hose, and they were howling
Open it
like
up.
hyenas, like blasting the port.
Oh man, I don't think we ever had to do that.
Because they were walking across the gangplank,
Yeah.
and they let them have it with the
Oh
fire
my
hose.
god. So
Coast Guard has to pick them up underwater.
so at one point, I'm in my rack,
Yep.
and we're underway, rocking and rolling.
Yeah.
Everybody
You
that was
strapped in, you got a strap.
everybody that's not on duty is probably in their rack strapped
Yeah.
in.
Did you have a strap on your rack?
There was a little one. It ain't gonna really hold much.
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
just the fact that it's so fucking small holds you in there.
Yeah.
And we got the two guys up above. All of a sudden, the collision alarm goes off, and this isn't drill period, so this makes your ass pucker.
Right.
We do drills every day,
Right.
6 a.m. to noon.
Right.
So you hear something like that go off.
Right.
then
Battle
we're-
stations? Did you guys have a battle station?
Yeah, we had a battle station. Yep.
And they'd ring the alarm, you'd run to your battle station?
When we did drills,
Yeah.
yeah. We never. I don't remember
But the
having a
collision
drill.
alarm, what response would that entail?
Oh man, that's like all hands damage control type shit.
Yeah.
Everybody's up and
Get ready to keep the ship
Yeah,
alive.
because the thing is that goes off, that stands a hair up on your back, and as soon as that goes off, all the lights come on in the berthing area too, and it's like, and I'm laying, so I slide my curtain back and I look, see that diffuser there?
Yeah.
Submarines got ventilation system with very similar diffusers. It's just they're big, rugged stainless steel fucking things, and the light comes on and I pull the thing back and water is gushing out of this fucking thing.
Yeah.
Coming.
Oh, no.
I mean, like, not like a sprinkler, like. You see that water with the collision alarm? It's like, holy fuck.
What was the pucker factor there?
Ooh. Yeah, that wakes you up in a fucking hurry. And so, find out after the fact that, because this berthing is right under the control room.
Yeah.
And so, then you got below us was like torpedo bay, and below that is just the battery compartment. And so the big fear, one of the big fears, is seawater in the batteries. That's can shut your lights out in a hurry. I mean, that's one of the theories about Scorpion. If you're familiar with the Scorpion that sank unexpectedly.
No.
That's very similar to the Thresher. The Thresher, we knew what happened because everybody was right there. They were just coming out on sea trials. Yeah, those are the two nuclear subs that had basically been lost.
Yeah.
And the Scorpion, though, that was nobody knows what happened to it. They know where it is. It's damaged, but there's a lot of theories. But one theory is that they might have had some casualty that brought seawater into the battery, got into the battery bay, and just that's, hydrogen gas. It's all, so that was the biggest thing. People were throwing mattresses, like using them like sponges, and water's still coming down, and because we were so limited on berthing in this modern baby boomer.
Yeah. How many racks did you guys have for your crew?
I don't remember the number, but we had first classes hot racking. If that puts that in perspective for you.
A first class is an E6, right? So
Pretty
you start out
senior.
E1,
Yeah.
E2,
Yeah.
pretty senior.
Pretty senior.
And do you know what hot racking means?
That means
Sleeping wherever they sleep.
That means
No.
3 guys
Uh-huh.
sharing 2 racks.
There you go.
Because generally the 3 guys would have the same watch station,
Right.
like engine room upper level,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and so only one of them's on
Right,
duty.
right.
So there's
The
2
other two
racks.
You
Yeah.
share your bed with.
Right.
Yeah. So that's the term hot rack because you get in and it's warm.
Right.
So that's
No
how.
disturbing.
And they have a first class hot rack. That kind of So
That means everybody's hot racking.
the only ones that the Chiefs and the Goat Locker are the only ones that don't have to fucking make accommodations, So yeah, the guys in the torpedo room that were sleeping and just all hands trying to keep the seawater from reaching the battery. And the thing was, find out after the fact that what happened was we're rocking and rolling 30 feet seas. We rode up a wave and then drove right down into the next one. And we went like, I don't know, 60, 70, 80 feet down. And the 2 guys in the conning tower, we find out later, neither one of them was lashed off with a lanyard. And it was like, so they could have
Explain to us what the conning tower's like.
on this boat, like, what it looks like physically.
Yeah.
The sail, they call
Right.
it, with the fairwater planes and stuff. So internally, it's right above the control room.
Right.
So there's a hatch
Uh-huh.
and ladders, and you can go up, and every boat's configured a little differently. This one was pretty typical in the sense that at least they're recessed down in, so they're protected this way.
Yeah.
That you're probably from this way up, you're exposed, and they're supposed to be tied off.
Yeah.
It just makes sense. And neither one of them were tied off, and it just and the enlisted guy was a young guy, like non-rate Hispanic guy. Oh my God, he got pretty excited after hearing him tell the story. Like he's doing the like, wonder if he's gonna make it, because I don't know what the time was. It was probably, it might have been 30 to 60 seconds. This thing,
Yeah.
He was underwater.
Yeah, and the thing was, the skipper, he ordered the hatch shut, because otherwise we're gonna sink from flooding,
right.
and so leaving those guys up there. So
They don't know if you're coming back up.
I know what's going in their head, So
I think I know. Oh shit.
so once we bob back up, and we're
You had 2 religious men up top.
oh man, the skipper ordered them down,
Yeah.
kept the hatch shut,
Right.
and we just went without a watch,
Yeah.
topside watch, and that was the only prudent thing to do, even though it was kind of not the way we were supposed to do it.
Right.
So
What was time like on the sub?
that's a really good question, because
Do you know what I mean? Because you never see the sunlight.
Yeah. Right.
that's exactly right, and the air's so stale, and
The air wasn't good.
no,
They couldn't keep the air right.
well, I mean, it's
Filtration, but they just couldn't
yeah,
get it.
we had great filters,
Yeah.
and great AC systems, awesome AC, which we had responsibility for back
Yep.
aft. Like we could keep the boat cold.
Yeah,
Even
yeah.
the engine room was cold, could be cold.
Wow. Okay.
We had
Because
such-
of Duke instead of.
Well, we just that, and we had like 4 big R113 plants, like so. We just had a lot of AC. That was
Yeah.
one of the nice features of it. And the
And
boat
you're
is
using the ocean to chill it too. The water you said for the.
well, we're
Duke,
using we're using
but
seawater.
not the boat.
Not the boat.
Like you're using the seawater to chill the power plant.
Yeah.
But not the rest of the boat.
Oh no, there's
Just-
all kinds of systems that are using, because that was one of the things that came from the Thresher failure.
Okay.
Was that was when SubSafe the whole program developed, and one of the things that came out of that was before the Thresher, every system that needed cooling had its own seawater
I see.
connection,
Yeah.
and so it introduces a lot of opportunity
Yeah.
to failure.
Yeah.
So
Less redundancy.
yeah, so the SubSafe thing. Now we just have 2 systems that take in seawater, Maine
Yeah.
seawater and Ox seawater, and everything else gets cooled from them. So there's not, it limits the number of protrusions that could, and connections that could fail, you know, and really cause flooding. So, yeah.
Sunlight.
Oh, yeah, because we're on this. Almost everybody is on what they call 3-section duty because the days are broken up. You know,
Yeah.
midnight to 6,
Yeah.
6 to noon,
Right.
in 6-hour blocks, and everybody's on 3-section duty pretty much. So if you have a watch, engine room upper level, engine room lower level, you and the 2 other guys, you just rotate around 6
Yeah.
hours on, 12
Right.
hours off, and so if you work days the first day, 6 a.m. to noon, then you're off for 12 hours,
Right.
and you come back in at midnight.
Right.
So your shift's always
Right.
rotating around. So it's like you're on an 18-hour day
Right.
almost.
Right.
You know what I mean? And but the fact that you just don't have any sunshine,
Right.
no fresh air, no news, no
Right.
communication
Right.
with family, no mail.
Right.
No, I mean, you're so isolated. It's like I said, it's the closest thing to being on the fucking space station. You know, but even they have internet
How does
connection.
that impact you mentally?
It's not good. That's why I say the guys that
Right.
do this for so
20
long,
years,
I think they got to screw loose because you have to like this. You know, I went in. I think I'm probably like so many people thinking. I was optimistic and thinking, oh, I might make a career out of this. You know, I was pragmatic because I was still looking at that $60K
Right.
civilian job after 6 years, but I liked it right up till I got to the boat.
Right.
And once I was, you know, my first cruise, I'm like, no fucking way am I gonna do this
Right.
for 20 years.
Right.
You know.
So, your first year in, you're underwater. How many days?
I used to keep a little journal like this.
Yeah.
All the interesting things like checking off days underwater.
Yeah.
So I wanted to keep track of how many days,
Sounds like
just
prison. Go
statistics.
ahead.
It was things to pass the time. Like so, to be like, what's the most I've been underwater at one time? Like we like never surfacing or just underway in these things. I think I lost that after I got out, but I think the longest we were underwater, and I'm talking about not opening a fucking hatch.
Yeah.
Was like 30 days, and that was just brutal.
That's so long.
Now, how well do you get to know these guys? Like,
Oh,
I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
know.
30 days underwater together. Are we friends? Are we serial killers? Where are we at?
I know. And there's nothing to do,
Right.
you know, because this boat, because it was a Los Angeles class,
Yeah.
which is already the living space, the front half of the boat,
Yeah.
is really cramped. The one thing I'll say about the Los Angeles class, as a nuke,
Yeah.
the engineering space was beautiful.
Okay.
It was huge,
You
relatively
got
speaking.
a lot of space for anyone else compared relative
Oh.
to anybody else on the sub.
Oh yeah, our working space,
Yeah.
and because of that, I mean, some of the guys that were hot racking, there were places you could fucking build a rack to sleep back there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just things like that. It was so
Personal
spacious.
space was so valuable.
Yeah, that's where we could, as nukes, could get like a little bit of just solitude. You know, because otherwise you just
You're
right
just on
against.
top of each other all the time.
I try and like help. I was hoping like he'd understand, even as like from an educator standpoint, these kids that come back from the military, they're not the same anymore.
No.
Right.
Like they've had these such impactful
Right.
things, and I feel like they have a lot more to offer in college that a lot of people at college don't understand. The professors were never in the military, none of them.
Yeah.
None of my professors ever served in the military when I went to
Bob
UNA.
Strong.
Right, but I never had him.
Okay.
But I never had
Yeah.
anybody.
Sure.
Not one of my professors was a military guy.
Yeah.
Right.
So none of them understand.
Yeah.
And I mean, what I mean by that is like, there was a lot of people, even in our college classes, who had done crazy
Sure.
stuff like
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
But you don't ever share that. They
Right.
never shared it. I never, if that makes
To
sense.
be honest with you, sharing this whole
Yeah.
medevac thing, I don't talk about this.
Yeah.
I mean, very few people know about it. Really,
Yeah.
I don't know. I have
I appreciate it.
I don't know. I've got some scars, I guess, from that, because I mean, just the thought that 2 guys almost fucking died while they were trying to get me off the boat.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't my
Survivor
call.
guilt.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I can't even imagine how that would have affected me if one of
Right.
those guys had been lost.
Yeah.
I mean, I couldn't have got over that, really.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I bet that's a lot of guys in the military is like, it's sometimes they feel a lot of guilt about living.
Yeah.
Like a lot of the. I've got one more question,
Okay.
and maybe you get one more question if you want it.
Sure.
How has the military impacted your ability or changed you as a business owner?
Wow. Well, I think probably that all of that experience, that training experience, it set me up for a really successful career in the
Yeah,
energy
yeah.
industry. GE put a
Yes.
lot of stuff like that. They really considered that like
Mhm.
really great background, and
Smart of them.
so it helped me career wise there, and then all the stuff that I learned, my experience with GE, really helped me. I mean, doing this videography thing, this is so easy, I mean, it's not even. It almost feels like a hobby. It's not hard. I mean, learning the actual craft of operating the cameras and framing and compositing and all of this stuff. That's been a learning experience, but all that other stuff just gave me the confidence. Like I said earlier,
Right.
Fuck, what do you want me to do? Well, give me a book. I'll figure it out if I can do it.
The skills that they'd given you, you developing those skills gave you the confidence.
Yeah, I think the biggest single thing was just making it through that program.
Yeah.
Before I even got to the boat, and that just gave me the confidence. Like, geez, I feel like I can do anything if I made it through there, because it tested so many things,
Right.
and so and then my experience on the boat, like, I got a chance to demonstrate all that stuff, because one of the I'm pretty cool cucumber under fire. Because I experienced shit. We had casualties, not as severe as that, but I was when I was injured on lower level watch, steering and diving hydraulics failure.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine,
Right.
we can't fucking steer the boat right. I'm on my watch. I get the shaft. I get the shaft alley, and you have to go up a level to where it is. And as I'm starting to go up the ladder, I can smell something, and I can hear something that ain't right. Because trust me, when you're dialed in,
Yeah.
you recognize the slightest fucking difference. And so I'm like, what the fuck? And as I'm going up the ladder, and as I could see there's just this wall of mist of hydraulic fluid.
Oh.
And and it's a type that's not supposed to fucking be too flammable, but when you vaporize it like
Right.
that, it can still be
Oh,
flammable.
sure.
And how
so,
old are you at this point? Sorry.
23 maybe. And so, but I'd been trained because every fucking day we're underway, even in port a lot of times.
Yeah.
The 6 to 12 block is drills.
Yeah.
And we generally run 3 drills. And so that specific thing, not necessarily, but, it's like I knew that system way better than my cameras, okay?
Right.
So I knew exactly what I needed to do, It was just trained into you. First thing, whoop, casualty, shaft alley, steering and diving hydraulics,
Yes.
So that tells everybody in the boat heard that.
Right.
And that tells control, hold it steady. Don't ask for fucking anything from these steering and diving hydraulics for right now, because I was able to isolate the leak
Yes.
in the system, but there's still a big accumulator that was still. So they had a little, but we had to get this fucking shit fixed, So that was one. If you ever see a mechanical seal fail on a big seawater pump at close to test depth, that gets a little puckering too, because that can turn into a bad flooding casualty quickly, if you don't get that isolated quickly, so stuff like that.
And that chain of events, right? Like when stuff starts chaining together bad.
Yeah. It goes back to the Navy and the training and the preparation.
Yeah.
At least with the nuke stuff, we had, because we had, almost a library back.
Oh, yeah.
All these manuals for every system.
Yeah.
And every system had a series of the most common casualties that might occur with that system. And it always was broken out like I'm almost forgetting the terms now, but the immediate steps.
Right.
Okay, so the immediate steps are just like I was saying. Oh, we got this casualty.
Right.
First thing, alert everybody.
Right,
We got this. Okay. Next step. As soon as I hang up the phone, I got to do those steps.
Right.
And then the rest of them, come when it's appropriate. But the initial steps are to limit and stop the immediate emergency. And we were tested, like we would have this ORS team, Operational Reactor Safety Exam, annual thing where these real tight ass old motherfuckers would come on board and test us, quiz us, have us do shit, and they were real assholes. And but it was unnecessary.
Stringent.
Very, very rigid. And the thing was,
It's
they
just
might
nuclear
come to you.
reactors, like.
They might come and say, Dale, you just had, let's use that example, mechanical seal fail, oxy pump. What are the immediate actions? Okay, you can't go pick up the book.
Right.
You need to say those, and if you don't, you're going to be sent to remedial training because you don't know those.
Right.
So those had to be burned into your noggin.
Right.
Those immediate
Type 1.
actions that you had to take before anything else happened. So,
Through repetitive drilling.
So it goes right back though. It sounds like to how you have managed to use ChatGPT then to learn everything else, right? Because that's basically giving you that thing. Obviously it's not life or death. You're not at test depth or whatever, but you're getting a sense. Give me not like the 47 steps that are going to take us to filling up the coffee cup, but just what's the first damn thing that I do?
Yes, I love it for exactly that reason because, like I said, I can just consume massive amounts.
Right.
Because think about that. If you say you read a 4-page news article about tariffs, okay, and you read it all. At the end of the day, you're just pulling out one or two key points.
Right.
You're not remembering everything that was in that fucking article.
Right.
That's what Chad does. It condenses it right down to the key things you need to know. And then, okay, move on to the next.
Right.
Since the more I use it, the more dialed in I feel.
Such a great training model. Just to think through, how do we get just the essential information?
Yep.
And pay attention to that rather than getting caught up in everything else. So you're like, maybe eventually that'll be important. But
it just
right now.
It clears the noises up and just goes right to the signal, man.
Right to the signal. That's right. Final thoughts?
It sounds like we could easily mine 3 or 4 more episodes out of the stories that haven't been told.
Oh my God!
I
think just seeing the ability to connect all of those pieces of different aspects of your life, right? The military, then going to work for a global 50 company, right? And now all the way through the entrepreneurial journey, but the through line around the ability to learn new things, training, being able to decipher and distill what's the essential information. It's all connected. It doesn't matter what you do. The recipes for success are the recipes regardless of what domain you're in.
Yeah, it's funny because I think we all tend to develop a style of how we do things. And so even when you move on to something else, I find myself, this is how I'm going to do this.
Exactly.
I'm going to take it in this way. I'm going to do it. It's always a repeatable process, I don't know.
Throughout our friendship, he's had to hear about the wrestling way,
right?
Because everything I know, wrestling taught me how to get good at things,
right?
So I just keep using it.
Exactly.
And even actually, when I went to school, I found people like him that I really liked how he thought and did things. Then I was right up his butt the whole time, annoying the crap out of him. My whole college experience, his office hours, I don't really.
Right. I love that though. Much rather have people in office hours trying to really understand than the people who are like, oh, I didn't get it. You know, I don't understand why I got a C. Well, because you don't know anything.
Oh, I took him like
Didn't
a
ask
towel
any of the
and
questions.
cleaned every drop out of, you know, he wrung him like a towel.
You know, you made me think of this. A recent class I took, without going into the details of what, we all had this exercise, a homework assignment,
Yeah.
you know, going, and the guy's going around the class, and we get two people had almost the same answer.
Yeah.
Where he goes, oh, they're explaining what they did, and this is what I did, and the teacher's like, how come you didn't do this
Right.
last little piece?
Yeah.
And this is, honest to God, this is the end. I was like, and another one said the same thing. I couldn't remember how to do it, so I didn't do it. And I'm like, thinking to myself, you know, in my assignment, there were several things I couldn't remember
Right.
how to do.
Yeah.
But that's what Google and
Right,
chat and
exactly.
YouTube videos are for.
Right, no kidding.
In my life, I can't even imagine
Exactly.
saying that.
Like, I've hit a barrier. I guess I'm just going to be done.
I'm done.
I guess that's it.
I'll just lay down now, and give my belly.
Exactly.
The going got tough, and I went out the
Right.
door. You know, so I don't know. That's
Yeah.
so. Anyway, I hope you guys.
This has been
enjoyed it.
fantastic. Really, thank you for sharing your insights. This has been really great, and I think you know, a big part of what we're trying to do here, just learn from people who've been there and done that, and distill those lessons, as Dale said.
Cool.
Plus, he's really very keen on me understanding, apparently, what it is you go through if you go through basic training.
I want him to be a better educator. I want him to mind the military people more.
Yep.
So when he starts to understand, like, even those few years in the military were so, you kind of cram everything in,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
He has a lot of untapped people up there
Yeah.
that he doesn't know about.
Oh yeah.
And skills even, too.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Thank you again.
No,
Thanks.
Geez, we didn't even get into investing.
I know.
We could do that at another time.
My favorite.